and you say something like, "Oh, why that we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't have to do that because we don't have to clean our house every single day, right?" Well, that's not what I originally said. I said, let's just clean our house today. But then you take that to be as something we need to clean our house every day, right? That's a straw man. And what you're going to do is basically take the original assertion that I gave, change it, and then form a conclusion based on that changed assertion, right? So there is something that follows, it's just false in that case.
Your reasoning is faulty, dude. You are wrong.
You don't think? Wait, what? And how so? How so? Tasteless.
Like I told you,
explain. Yeah, get to the part.
You
where
are trying so hard. Listen. You have an
Come on,
axiom.
buddy.
Your axiom is this is the axiom you're feeding your reasoning.
That's
All
also a
fallacies
fallacy.
Are non sequiturs. This is what you think the definition of a fallacy is, but it is not. Like Big Chum said, it is, the intention when we are assessing things, if we are going to be, honest, that's what you would expect. This is why I was asking the question before about how we reach these conclusions about fallacies and whatnot.
We don't have to say
Because
the definition. One second, I'm gonna mute you, Tasteless. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No.
Look, okay. So when you say we're not providing a definition, even though it could be a definition, but if I say cats are all animals, okay? Oh, he deafened himself.
All cats are animals.
Okay. Oh, yes, I do get to do that because you've talked. This is constantly the Tasteless show. And
you are over talking me, you stupid fuck.
Well, you're gonna have to listen.
I
this
listen
is for
to
your
you.
own benefit.
I listen to you.
Out of caring for you, you're gonna have to listen to me. Okay. I don't need to learn anything from you. You have to learn from me. Okay. The idea.
Just how dumb you are. Yes. Go on.
Okay. Well, what I was saying was, if we say all animals are all cats are animals, right? That a cat is an animal.
Your fucking examples are useless, Dan.
Let him. Come on, man.
Look. Here's the idea. Oh, he's deafened.
Needs to hear what Danny has to say without interrupting him.
Yeah.
Useless, fallacious.
That's fine.
And dumb.
He can be I would prefer him to be just a text bitch than a voice chat.
Don't give me examples. Give explanations.
No, but you see what you just said is
give
that
explanation.
But I'm giving an explanation as to why what you just said was wrong. Here's the explanation. Here's your original claim that we're giving the definition of a fallacy as being a non sequitur, right? Now, whether let's just say that's false, right? But it could still be true even though it's not the definition. I was giving you an example. Wait. Let me give you. Here's the example. Where if you say a cat is an animal, that's not the definition of a cat, but it's still true of the cat, right? In the same way that all fallacies are non sequiturs, that may not be the definition of a fallacy, right? But all fallacies are non sequiturs in the same way that we didn't have the definition.
No, Danny. Now it's your time to listen, okay? You are trying so hard to make that fucking assertion because it is just an assertion, a claim. That fallacies mean non sequiturs. That is your problem, your mental problem.
No, that's not what I said. That it's true that all fallacies are non sequiturs, but that might not be the accepted definition. There's two different things.
You are using that to force your understanding of why something is fallacious and why something must not be done, or it is not desirable to be done, or you should identify where you're gonna get a faulty conclusion. Yes, whenever we're talking about clean reasoning, we are meant to preserve information and its properties from the get-go and draw conclusions, logical conclusions, based upon the original information, which is the first argumentation or the premise or whatnot. Whenever you cause or make something that results in loss of information, twisting of information, adding of information, that is considered fallacious. What is it? What does fallacious mean? Deceptive, meaning it is not reflecting the original claim in a truthful manner.
What the fuck are you talking about?
In a truthful manner, Danny. This is why fallacy means.
Okay, so here's what you just said. I know why you just said fallaciousness means deceptive, because you looked up the etymology of fallaciousness, and it does have a root word that meaning deceptive, but that's not the way it's used in logic and reasoning or in debate anymore, right? Or in philosophy, right? That's called ironically an etymological fallacy, right? Okay. Now, so let's just get past that. Fallaciousness doesn't mean deceptive.
Listen, dude.
Danny,
Listen,
hold on.
listen.
I want to say something to Danny real quick, Tasteless. This whole thing about all fallacies are non sequiturs. Let's give the argument that somebody's mother is a whore. I'm being serious, by the way. Just give me a second here. All right. Let's give the argument that somebody's mother is a whore. Now, that person can, like, you can make the argument cogently that that person's mother is a whore, and they can accept that argumentation that proves that his mother is a whore, and then they can say, you know what, you're a fucking asshole, and use that as the basis for trying to, like, say that his argument is bad. Now, that's a fallacy, but it's also
an ad
true.
hominem.
It's an ad hominem fallacy. And it's also true, so it's not a non sequitur. The guy is being an asshole in this context. You know, like, he shouldn't be making the argument that this person's mother is a whore. That's uncouth.
Wait, can I respond? Just,
it's not a non sequitur.
No, it is a non sequitur.
Let
me explain why. If you look at the genetic fallacy, let's say I'm a theist, right? Let's say you point out
with the example.
Wait, 1 second. I'm talking to Vade. Let's just say, let's talk about the genetic fallacy. I'm a theist, right? And you were to say, well, the only reason why you believe you're a theist, or the reason why you are a theist, is that you were raised that way, right? Now, that's true. That could be true, okay? Now, but if you were to say, well, because you were raised this way, or we look at the fact that you were raised this way, that invalidates the belief, invalidates the proposition that God exists. Now, those two things could be true, but it's still a fallacy in virtue of the fact that you're saying that one follows from the other, right? So that's still a non sequitur. Does that make sense?
Well, what I'm saying is that in the case that I gave, it is the ad hominem fallacy, because calling him an asshole doesn't provide any cogent argumentation against his claims, but it does logically follow that the argument that he does make him an asshole. Now, that is a completely separate argument to make, that, well, because you've made this argument, you're an asshole. But it does logically follow that argument could be made, so that wouldn't be a non sequitur. It would be an ad hominem fallacy, but it would not be a non sequitur.
I mean,
I'm sorry, an ad hominem is virtually a formal fallacy, dude, because it doesn't follow that since this person might be whatever it is, his argument is wrong. That doesn't follow, so it is a formal fallacy. However, there are informal fallacies, which, yes, the conclusion does follow from the premises, but the premises are not based on faithful argumentation. They are not supported by truth. So the conclusion is going to be faulty in virtue of that, but it will follow, and the premises will lead to a conclusion, and the conclusion will follow from the premises, yes, but the conclusion is faulty. Why? Because of false information on the argumentation of the premises. Now, this is what constitutes an informal fallacy, and since not all fallacies are non sequiturs, Tomer is incorrect.
I think to what you said, Vade, and Chamos knows a lot about this too. He's read some books on logic, but if you look at the appeal to authority, okay? If we say that some conclusion is true in virtue of the fact that it came from someone that is a PhD, right? That doesn't necessarily follow, but it's true that the person has a PhD, and that it may even raise the probability of the conclusion being true, but it doesn't follow regardless, right? You could only make the claim that in virtue of him having a PhD, that the conclusion could be more probably true than not, okay? But it doesn't necessarily follow. If you make the claim that that he has a PhD, therefore it necessarily follows the conclusion is true, those two facts are true, but they don't follow, still would be a non sequitur, right? I mean, Chamos is getting a mic, so maybe he can shed light on this situation. But would you agree there, Vade, that there are all these fallacies where could raise the probability of the conclusion being true, but doesn't necessarily make the conclusion true? It's not this.
No, okay, so for something.
Well, here's a question, Vade. Are all fallacies...
Wait, let Vade speak. I want to hear Vade's response, and then I'm done.
Can I get a word in?
Well, after Vade responds.
Yeah, after Vade. Yeah, sure.
All right. So for something to be a non sequitur, this is the simple definition given by whatever Google is putting at the top, which I think is Merriam-Webster. It says a conclusion or statement that does not logically follow from the previous argument or statement. Now, the example that I gave, the conclusion that this person who's proven conclusively, argumentatively, that your mother is a whore, right? Now, if I call him an asshole, that's not attacking his argument, but it is a conclusion that does logically follow from his argument. He is an asshole for making the argument that my mother is a whore, right? Now, I can't attack his argument on that basis. That is the ad hominem fallacy. But it is a conclusion or a statement that does logically follow from the context.
None of you guys listen to Vade or he's going to fuck off. None of that follows. That doesn't follow. Vade's wrong. Don't listen to this motherfucker. I'm getting in the shower. I'll be out in 30 minutes, and I'll save you all from yourselves.
Okay, I just want to ask Vade. I just want to ask Vade a question real quick. So, are all fallacies in virtue of just being isolated, right? So, just an isolated fallacy as a premise to a conclusion. Are they like definitionally invalid? Does it make an argument invalid?
I don't know.
So premise one, right? You have P1, P2, C, right? So let's say I have P1, that's a fallacy. P2, that's a fallacy. And then the conclusion, right? So the conclusion is either correct or incorrect. It's really irrelevant.
Premises are fallacies. God damn it, shut up, you fucking retards. Premises are not fallacies. Fallacies are types of inferences. Fallacies are ways that you reason. A premise itself is not going to be...
I didn't say premises are fallacies.
The reason implied within it is going to be a fallacy.
I didn't say premises were fallacies.
Yeah, you said that.
All right, so
No. I was saying that the premise, within the premise, right? So you have P1, P2, right? So those within those premises, okay? You have two fallacies. Let's just pick them out of a hatch. Two different fallacies, two of the same fallacy, whatever, right? And then you have the conclusion, right? Then you have the conclusion of the argument. Now, this conclusion of the argument can either be true or untrue, right? But in an isolated form, is that valid or invalid based on the fallacies, Vade?
Wow, man.
I'm sorry, I didn't even catch what you were saying.
Okay.
I thought you
were.
Okay,
so the argument, right? The argument itself. So you're setting up an argument for a conclusion, right? Now this conclusion is either true.
Are you talking about the example I just gave?
No, I'm talking literally. I'm just talking abstract, dude. I'm talking about an argument in abstract, right? I don't have to give it a specific example. Think about arguments in abstract. Okay. The reason why I'm asking you this question, right, is I'm trying to gauge whether or not you think that if an argument, right, if the premises are fallacious, so the premises are, they use fallacious reasoning in them, right?
The premises,
and then you have a conclusion to that argument, right?
Seamus is going to be going ballistic, I know.
And the conclusion of the argument is either right or wrong. It doesn't matter, right? But in the argument form, right? Is it wrong? Is it valid or is it invalid? Right? What is that?
Premise will have to become a conclusion from another premise. You have to go to the premise of that conclusion for it to become a conclusion in that fallacy.
Now, yeah, just give me an example of one premise that's a fallacy. You can't, right? The only way you can invoke a fallacy is if you have a conclusion, right? So the premise in and of itself can't be fallacious.
According to Tom, right?
It can be false, though.
A premise that is false is a fallacy.
Okay.
I want to address what Wade said, right? I think that Wade got wrong what it means to make an ad hominem, because an ad hominem means that you're saying that the argument is fallacious in virtue of the person having.
No, I said that. I said, yeah, to call him an asshole is an ad hominem fallacy in relation to the argument being made of your mother being a whore, but it is not logically inconsistent to come to the conclusion that person is an asshole.
I got it, but the fallacy is not that you call him an asshole, right? The fallacy is that you say that what he said is wrong in virtue of him being an asshole, right? There's a difference there. It's not false to call him an asshole.
You're just going outside of the argument.
So I got a question for y'all.
It's not going outside of the argument.
If I posted a source for statistics and someone says, well, that's from a white nationalist group, so it's biased, would that be an ad hominem?
Oh, shut the fuck up. So Vade,
that's
would be a
a
genetic.
question. Would y'all consider that an ad
I
hominem
think
for someone to say it's
what
biased?
I think Vade's example is just a pure troll. I mean, those two people are just talking past each other, is what it is.
If they say it's biased because it's white nationalist, that's just a trivially true statement. But what you're thinking of is like they might be poisoning the well, or they might be doing the naturalistic fallacy. If they say it's wrong because they're a white nationalist.
Well, they say they can't do the source because it's the guy who wrote it is racist or something.
But Vade, did you catch? Vade, did you catch what I was saying? Right, calling the person.
I guess Tom is right. It is going outside of the argument because for it not to be a non sequitur. Well, no. Okay, yeah, because it wouldn't be a fallacy, right? You would have to be addressing the argument with the content of the response for it to even be a fallacy.
Was that Sammy that tuned in real quick just a second ago?
Yeah, that's what I said. I mean, basically, those two people are just talking past each other. I don't know why Vade would bring up that example.
I'm just trying to think of any example of where one could commit a fallacy and it not be a non sequitur, and I thought that was a good example, which it's not.
Definitionally true, right?
Sammy, real quick, I have a question for you, buddy. Did Tasteless wreck Tomer last night? Is that what I'm hearing that you're saying?
When did I say that?
Well, a better example would be the slippery.
I have the video.
A better example would be the slippery. Okay, a better example of that would be the slippery slope fallacy, right? Because there are like some slippery slopes. So you can have an argument that contains a slippery slope fallacy, right? And you can still have a cogent argument. So in that sense, all fallacies can't be just all non sequiturs. That's a ridiculous statement, just right out the gate. So that's a fucking retarded statement.
Why is that?
But it's equally as retarded, right? To give that example and say that that is somehow not a non sequitur. That's.
I don't think you understand the slippery slope.
Okay, well, go ahead and give it to me.
Well, one of the most common slippery slope fallacies, or people that accuse, those with the gay marriage agenda, right? Where we talk about something like, if we were to legalize gay marriage, then all these things will
pedophilia.
Right. Now, it's tricky, right? If you were to define marriage as a union between any two beings, right? Then it would follow that bestiality and these sort of things could be part of the institution of marriage, right? That's not slippery slope, okay? But if you were to say something like, if we were to establish marriage as this thing, as a union between any two beings, then we would see people, the majority of the population, engage in bestiality. Now that's slippery slope. You see, there's a difference.
Well, to my knowledge, right, and I'm not too terribly educated on logic, but there is something called like the fallacy, which is like presuming an argument is wrong because of fallacious reasoning. So to my mind, that would indicate that there is some fallacious reasoning that would logically follow from premises.
No,
the argument, right?
Fallacy means that just because it's a fallacy doesn't mean that the conclusion is.
Oh, okay, yeah. See, this is why I'm not brushed up on logic. So.
You can perform fallacious reasoning and just by dumb fucking luck get the answer right.
Yeah,
that's what the fallacy means.
So in that sense, you guys truly think that there is not one argument or one fallacy that you can use, and it.
Look, I mean, a fallacy is defined as something that doesn't follow, right? So, I mean, it's. Okay. I don't even know how you would fucking make a case.
Well, guess I'm wrong. I know. Happens.
I mean, it's Latin for literally does not follow, right?
Yep.
Yes. Actually, you rarely hear people say that they're wrong in here. Never had heard that before.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's fine. Shit, it's no big.
Tom, what happened with Tasteless's questioning you?
Oh man, you're just big time crash and burn.
Fuck.
Listen, Godless. ants, some species of ants do pass the mirror test.
Vade is so cute. There was some retard agreeing with him last night. Vade was trolling, saying that they could pass.
I'm not trolling. Is this a meta troll? Are you fucking retarded?
Mirror test, like they're self-aware.
I mean,
some fucking moron was agreeing with him.
I mean, Godless. I heard Vade's argument, and I haven't looked over the study, but it doesn't seem that implausible. Like I'd be willing to believe.
There are literal papers on this.
Like I wouldn't accept it without evidence, but I wouldn't immediately dismiss it.
You can't troll a troll, guys.
Can we, I don't know if Bacon has the recording ready, but we could go back and play at least, like, the opening part of it so that you can get
Wait, is that the vaccine stuff? Is that what y'all are talking about?
You know, before Shamos comes in and tears him a new one.
Godless, Tasteless are trying to say that a straw man is an informal fallacy, and so the structure, like, might still follow, but because the structure follows, that means that it's not a non sequitur.
A non sequitur is a formal fallacy.
Non sequitur would apply to all informal and formal fallacies. I mean, all fallacies
Oh, you're
are.
probably right. Tasteless, you should just stop using the word straw man and stop digging your hole. Like, I don't know what happened. I just got here, but you're fucking with Shamos now, and he said he's one more word and he's going to declare a word. Why do you keep digging your hole deeper? I like you, Tasteless. I don't want you to have to leave the server.
Oh, fuck.
I think what we should do with Tasteless is mute him until he provides a fallacy. Like he types in the chat a true fallacy where it does follow.
Well, I think he thinks strawman fits that.
Right, but he would have to type it, right?
Well, Danny, remember, right? So Tasteless tonight, this was coming back after, right? That he couldn't explain what a strawman was, right? So somehow this was going to prove Tom wrong on another point. Shut up a second, dum-dum. Shut up, dickwad. Right.
I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
So he thought that somehow pointing out that Tom didn't know something else, right, would make him correct about not knowing what a straw man is. Doesn't follow, right? Just even if Tom was wrong about all this other shit, right? The claim that Tasteless doesn't know what a fucking straw man is, right? Doesn't know how to use it correctly and was attributing it to Tom when it wasn't the correct time to do so. Doesn't change any of that, Tasteless.
Yes, it does.
Tasteless, why are you doing this to yourself?
What do you mean?
Put down the shovel.
Yeah, Godless is right, Tasteless. You're gonna add you're gonna take 10 years off your life, buddy, doing this.
Tasteless, just okay, guys, give him an opportunity to just.
But I don't know what you mean, Godless.
I
am through with Tomer. I mean, I am through with Tomer. That's fine. Now, if you want to get and get into me, that's fine. I mean, let's go ahead and talk about this.
This is how bad this is how bad it got, Godless. He started going down the list, like asking, okay, what are all these so-called black belts that all think that all fallacies are non sequiturs? And then he went down the list and he's like, is a Krill black belt? Does he think that to like fucking like put them like in like, you know,
that's true.
In center court so they could be like shamed, right? So like started naming all these people.
So give him the opportunity now to just hold up the white flag.
Okay, Tasteless, we're giving you the opportunity to hold up the white flag.
What do you mean? What? I mean, there is no war.
It's mercy.
If you want to attack me, go ahead. I mean, I have no problem.
Unmitigated apology on your behalf.
Listen. If my position is wrong, then that's it. It's wrong, and I will get proven incorrect. That's fine. That's perfectly okay. Now, if I'm not, well, then we'll see. That's it. That's all there is to it. I mean,
but you
why are you saying Godless? That why am I doing this to myself? What is it supposed to happen that? I don't know. What is your
like? You've earned your place in the server, but now you're alienating yourself.
But what do you mean, Godless?
like, I don't know what happened with Shamos. Like, you want to be enemies with Tom, and I don't know what happened with Shamos, but
I don't see it like that, Godless. All I see, no. Listen. I don't see it like that. I mean, Tomer thinks of me as his enemy. That's fine. I don't think of anyone as my fucking enemy. Where I'm being attacked, or when I'm, being asked about a particular view I hold, I will share it gladly. And if I'm going to get attacked for it, that's fine. That's great. This is why we're here, Godless. And if I'm incorrect, and people show that, that's great. That's why I'm here.
They can't, because you just talk over them.
Not only that, but also the shit show. I mean,
yeah, but
I don't understand that. What is it that
you're here, right? You said
see?
Shut up a second, but you said that the real reason you're here is once we can get past all this arguing, you're going to unlock the universe for us, right? You're going to tell us about love, how to have a happy life, right? Maybe if you could just drop this, right? Maybe if you could stop arguing, you could get on with giving us a much better lifestyle for ourselves, in which you explain all of that shit you were going on about the other day. Because that's what you said you really wanted to do in here, right?
I could.
You could.
Yes.
So you could give us all of that, right? But instead,
yes,
want to quibble over a fucking meager fucking definition, right?
Dude, I am sorry. I just listen. I am not.
I've got the secrets to happiness, buddy, but I'm gonna fucking argue about.
I already shared that to you, dude. I was talking about love, and I was talking about yes,
I don't remember hearing it.
And moral codes and whatnot. Yeah, man. I mean, this all is very interesting. But let's all recognize that this server is not for doing that. This server is for the shit show. This server is to try and fuck with the other person, to mock him and really that's fine. I don't do that, but it is funny from time to time. So I don't understand. I mean, Godless. Godless is not around here. Well, whatever. I don't know what she's saying, but yeah, man, whatever you have, bring it on. I don't have a problem.
Tasteless, like, I mean, how about this? What if the premises were something like, or sorry, not the premise, but the structure was something like, hold on, let me think about this real quick.
This is hard. It's gonna hurt.
How about if the structure was like A is equal to B, B is equal to C, C is equal to, therefore C is equal to Z, right? Now, I'm assuming that you would agree if A equals B, if A equals B and B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. But if you had a fourth premise or something like that was like, therefore C is equal to Z, right? That wouldn't follow, right? That structure would be flawed. But supposedly you would agree that like if A equals B and B equals C, then A is equal to C. So would you call that, even though structurally it was unsound, even though part of it was sound, would you call that a non sequitur or a sequitur? See what I mean? You're just like trying to pick apart some part that might follow.
It is very simple, Tomer. I mean, the term sequitur and non sequitur, it refers to it following, the conclusion or the following premises following the previous premises. So in a logical manner, that is what following means, or sequitur. Whenever you say non sequitur, it means that the next premise or the next conclusion doesn't follow the premise, okay, or the original, whatever. It makes no logical sense. So that is why you call it a non sequitur. Okay. Now, whenever you have something that does follow, a conclusion that does follow the premises, it might. Okay, we're trying to deal here with reasoning, Tomer. The way we reason and the way we try to obtain truth about certain statements. So it is fallacious. Something fallacious exhibits a fault in reasoning that leads you to a conclusion that is erroneous. It is faulty. Okay, so this is what we're dealing with here. Now, whenever we are trying, listen, to reason, we are trying to identify these flaws in reasoning, meaning they are deceptive and they could lead us to faulty conclusions. We don't want that. We want to, information to be preserved from the first moment we are presented with. And if we're talking about that information, it has to remain truthful to its original properties and its original, attributes. Now, if you're able to manage all the following logical conclusions about it, and the information remains intact, and it does really reflect, a series of consequences, that follow from the original stance, then you can say that that was good, or not good reason, but that reasoning was exerted flawlessly. That is what you hope for. Now, whenever you, in some part of that reasoning process, you use these techniques or faults, then it becomes fallacious in virtue of it not holding the original information, and getting a faulty result because of it. It is not true or untrue. No, we're not referring to that. It is a fault, that it didn't preserve the original attributes and properties of the information being presented. That is it, man. So some of them might follow, but in conclusion is going to be wrong. We're talking about reality now. No, we're not talking about logic. We're talking about, if you perceive information and that information is false, then the conclusion is going to be incorrect or faulty, because it is not based on truthful information. But the information is presented, it holds all the attributes of what you're being referred to and properties, and then you follow the series of logical conclusions out of it, then the reasoning was flawless. That's it. That's what you're looking for, and that's it, man. But it might follow at some points, it might not follow at some other points, but it is not a fallacy in virtue of that. It is a fallacy in virtue of that is deceptive, and that the result is faulty. That's it.
No. Even I know that's wrong. I am an absolute fucking pleb.
Can't wait for Seamus to come.
Yeah.
He's gonna be shot out of a cannon. See, what happens with Seamus is this, he does this like Serenity Now thing. There's like where he just listens to dumb shit, and then he listens to dumb shit, just contains it and suppresses it. But like Tasteless is just fucking like carpet bomb the entire server for like days, which is dumb shit. And he just all built up, and he's just gonna have to explode. And when Vade chimed in, oh, that was the last straw.
I'll be back. I'll save you from yourselves.
Tasteless, are you still on the assumption that there are non sequiturs, or that there are fallacies that are not non sequiturs? Do you still think that?
Oh yes, I do, and I think that I made myself clear when I said that some of the reasoning or the logic being applied, it will follow, but it's going to be faulty due to the information not holding the original properties and attributes that it necessitates for the conclusion to be valid.
Let's just wait for Seamus.
Yeah, sure. But this is, yes, I still hold this idea, and then if Seamus presents me with a reasonable or well explained,
like he's not going to
information, I might change my mind for sure. But let's wait until that happens.
Something is a fallacy or a non sequitur, not in virtue of a part following. It is a non sequitur in virtue of the whole not following, right? So that includes the premises and the structure of the argument, right? So for you to say that in virtue of a part that follows, this fallacy is not a non sequitur is just dumb. There's not really much more to say.
Well, Tasteless, if you say that there is that there are fallacies that are not non sequiturs, right? That's like saying there's at least one fallacy, right? At least one or more, that is not a non sequitur, right? So if that's the case,
yes.
In order to show that, right? In order to show that there is one or more fallacies that are not a non sequitur, you only have to show one fallacy for that. For which this is true, right? You have to show one of these fallacies. For example, let's take the ad hominem fallacy, right? You would have to show that the ad hominem fallacy is not a non sequitur, right? But we already discussed the ad hominem fallacy, right?
But I did say it was a non sequitur. I mean, an ad hominem is a non sequitur.
Yeah. So,
but a strawman isn't.
Hold on a second. But an ad hominem is in the same position as a strawman, though.
No. The strawman
ad hominem is also an informal
not
fallacy.
a non sequitur.
Strawman.
And let me explain why. At least give me this chance.
Fallacy.
Let me explain why. So,
wait, don't make it too long though, right?
No. I'm going to explain. I'm going to explain the strawman and how it is.
Wait. Before you start, right? This pointing out of a fallacy, right? Showing this. These fallacies, they are not about examples, right? They are about a certain structure. For example, if we talk about the ad hominem fallacy, that fallacy says you are saying that the argument is fallacious in virtue of the source or the person who states it being an asshole, or by smearing him, right? You're saying that that person is bad or something, and therefore his argument is fallacious, right? That's the ad hominem fallacy, right? And it's not dependent on the example. It's not dependent on any case. It's always a non sequitur, right? It's not dependent on how he
of course,
and what the argument was, right?
Yes.
So,
yes. Of course.
Yeah, and that goes for any fallacy, right? For any fallacy, it's about the structure, right? So
true.
Okay, so showing an example, right, would not help, right? You have to point to a fallacy and say that fallacy is not a non sequitur, right? And that's how we would establish that there is at least one fallacy that is not a non sequitur.
Yeah, the problem is that Tasteless is trying to.
Okay, I think I understand what you're trying to say, Juker. So basically, if I were to defend your position and to say, okay, a strawman, the position of strawman is
yeah.
Well, listen. The strawman would be something like A, no, and A with some properties, right? And then
No, I know what you're trying to do.
Equals A. But it is not. I mean, that is false.
No. Like, I know what you're trying to do. Let me do it for you better, right? So strawman would follow the structure something like, I'm just doing this on the fly here. So it'd be something like, if A, then B, A, therefore B, right? So and A would be, if I present a defeater to your argument, that'd be A, and then B would be like, your argument is defeated, right? But in this case, the straw man is a fallacy, because in A's case, you're saying not if I present a defeater to your argument, but if I present a defeater to a different argument, right? Then B, and that wouldn't follow, right? But the structure can work. The structure can work.
Okay, this is what I'm saying. So the only thing that I can identify it not following is whenever you're saying that the primary reason why everything follows is that A is equal to D, okay, which is not the case. So therefore, it doesn't follow, because that premise is false. A is not equal to D being the argument of the other opponent. So A is not equal to D. So let's say, for instance, the proposition would be something like B defeats D, okay?
May I interject, right?
No, but listen. A equals D, therefore B, So that would be for a non sequitur, because what part doesn't follow is that A is equal to D, which would meet the criteria that B defeats D. It doesn't follow based on the fact that what you are presented is not equal to what has been said.
I think you have to treat formal and informal fallacies differently, right? Formal fallacies are formal fallacies because they have a flaw in their structure, right? you made something wrong with the structure. But that's not the case for informal fallacies, right? But there are still fallacies, and there are still non sequiturs. But showing that there are fallacies and showing that there are non sequitur is, you don't accomplish that, at least in my thinking, by showing that the structure is wrong, right? Because the structure can be right. But so the argument for showing that it's not a that it is a non sequitur is not by approaching a formal approach, right? Would you agree, Tom?
Oh, sorry, I wasn't listening. I was reading what in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, because when you make a straw man, right, the straw man can be it can be a valid argument. It can follow. You can have a set of premises, and from these premises can necessitate the actual conclusion. It's still a fallacy, though, right? And the reason why it's a fallacy is because these are not the premises, right? So for you to say that the other person agrees with these premises, well, that he says that they are true, that's false, right? So that's the actual fallacy. But it's still a non sequitur, right? Because you didn't state the actual premises. You used another premise that the person actually said.
Oh fuck, Shameless is here now. Oh fuck. Oh shit. This is gonna be bacon, but this is gonna be like Shameless weighs in on the fallacy controversy part 2.
All right. Well, look.
Like Shameless has been in like the fucking
So we're gonna
like
talk about this.
in the fucking the Goku tank, and he's like been powering up. Now he's just gonna come wreck everyone.
Well, like, I'm all good. We can talk about this and stuff, but I just want it to be kind of this one time, you know? Like, I really want to win because it was such a fucking mess. But I feel like now, if I don't wade in, there's a possibility you fucks might be talking about this tomorrow. So, against my better judgment, I'm gonna just step in. I'll try to clarify. If you want, you can ask me questions, and I'll try to clarify whatever. And we can just go through it. So what Tom, do you think is centrally under contention here?
Well, I don't think what do I think is under contention. Well, I mean, Tasteless disagrees with me. Tasteless thinks that it's ridiculous to say that all fallacies are non sequiturs. He thinks that a straw man is not a non sequitur. That is, in fact, it does in fact follow. So that's the main point of contention, I guess.
Well, I thought about this.
And he thinks that a straw man follows in virtue of being an informal fallacy, which is weird. But the fact that the structure of a straw man can follow, then that means that it does follow in a way. So therefore, it's not a non sequitur.
That's right. Right.
Okay, so not well in a way. So about the all fallacies being non sequiturs, that's true. Everything that is in fact a fallacy or fallacious is in fact a non sequitur. Now a fallacy, non sequitur just means doesn't follow, but a fallacy just means that whatever type of reasoning you've tried to engage in is not going to be enough to secure the conclusion. Okay? It's just going to mean that the conclusion, the truth of the conclusion has not been secured through those inferences that you've made. Okay? Now, about the straw man. So, okay, let's characterize what a straw man fallacy is. So a straw man fallacy is when you're engaged in a conversation or a debate or a dialectic between you and one or more individuals. And whoever on the other side is going to have a position. could be an argument, position backed by arguments, whatever. Now, what a straw man is just to simply take another position, which do, right? And sometimes it's just their initial position. Sometimes it's improperly characterizing something that would basically logically follow from their conclusion. But regardless, it's basically characterizing their position and then attacking the mischaracterization. If you were to successfully rebut or defend or the original thing, if you were to successfully do that, right, you wouldn't have rebutted their original argument. You would only have rebutted a straw man. And so, I mean, I don't know if we should really talk about whether or not straw man fallacy is in fact a technical fallacy. I mean, if it is, it's going to be some manner of just it's hard to, I don't want to get into it, but I mean, so every could follow with inside the straw man, just not their position. So it just doesn't follow that straw man has actually secured that you've successfully rebutted their position. That's
well, like my understanding of it when I think about it, Seamus, is something like the straw man is a fallacy because the idea is I defeated this other position that's not your position, therefore I defeated your position. That's where the fallacy comes in.
Right. Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Oftentimes, colloquially, though, and I think Tasteless was under this impression, that a straw man is just basically a misrepresentation. Like, if Tasteless said Taylor Swift is hot, and I say Tasteless said that Taylor Swift is ugly, he's normally calling that a straw man, which I think is incorrect.
Yeah, it's not just mischaracterizing its position. It's mischaracterizing someone's position and then attacking that position and then acting as if you've successfully defeated them or something like that. It's not merely just a mischaracterization. There needs to be a mischaracterization, but it's not just that.
Okay, Tasteless, any questions? Do you agree?
No, man. You're saying, and this is a straw man of yours, and let me show you how. You're basically saying that in virtue of me thinking something, you saying that I think something that I don't think. Listen. You are saying Tasteless thinks that this is a straw man. That is false. That's first of all. And you're using that to conclude that I don't know what a straw man is, which is terrible. I mean, it is a straw man in itself. Now,
but that does follow.
Listen. This is what I'm saying. So it is a straw man what you're doing because you're not characterizing my position in the way it is, because I was specifically telling you.
And instead of whining about it, why don't you clarify?
Every time you do this, you are misrepresenting my position to reach a conclusion. And the conclusion is that I don't know what these things are.
So here's how it follows.
What you could do, Tomer, is if you accurately represented my position, then you would see how your conclusion is not supported, because this is what you're saying is not what I said. And you're using that to conclude that I don't know what a straw man is based on faulty information. That is not the case. Okay. So that's
someone asked to give the outline of what a straw man was, and you couldn't do it, right? Why doesn't it follow that Tom can say you don't know what a straw man is? Explain that.
No.
Why? How is your inability? Why can't you? Why couldn't you explain it then?
Why couldn't I explain? I explained it perfectly, and the video is correct. Okay, and I am correct. Now I explained it, and Tomer says that in virtue of fallacies being non sequiturs. Okay. Because this is what Tomer defines a fallacy to be, non sequiturs, yes. And that I don't know, what according to him what a straw man is, or what a fallacy is, then I must not know what a straw man is. Furthermore,
you couldn't explain what a straw man was.
He's using. I explained it multiple times.
Nobody lets me speak. You fuckers are gonna let.
There's the video now. Now, listen
Tasteless won't listen, Ludic, no matter what you
whenever
do.
He uses and misrepresents my position to conclude something different, to conclude something that it is false, it is a straw man, okay? And this is what I'm saying, and I have been saying from the get-go.
Tasteless, can you please let Ludic speak? He wants to say something. Go ahead, Ludit.
Okay, when you say it's a non sequitur or does not follow, it can be because of one of two reasons. It can be a problem with the structure, right? That's a formal fallacy, or it can be a problem with the content, informal fallacy, right? A straw man's an informal fallacy, so it's a problem with content, right? So it still doesn't follow. It's still non sequitur. It's just non sequitur for a different reason. For the content versus the structure. Get it?
Okay, I had to stop recording. I'm at an hour and 48 minutes.
So when they're saying it's non sequitur, it's all fallacies. There's two different reasons for it being such. Get it? Content or structure.
Tasteless, GG was right. Why do you do this to yourself?
I'm sorry. Did you at any time in this? I'm sorry.
Why don't you just ask a question?
At any time, has Ludic shown why is it not a sequitur? Because he's just declaring it doesn't follow. In any time, it doesn't follow. What do you mean, dude? Explain yourself. I know what you said. It is pretty clear, but explain to me how it does follow, Ludic. Or I'm sorry, how it doesn't follow. Please, don't just declare it. Explain to me how it doesn't follow, please.
Is Tasteless still at this point saying that it's a straw man isn't a non sequitur? Isn't.
Yes.
I don't know.
I am under the idea that straw man is a sequitur, but it is a fallacious in virtue of false information that it is, forming its arguments. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. But it does follow, yes. But the only difference is that it is based on faulty information, and that is it. But it does follow.
This is one of these micro adjustments that Justin was talking about, right? So this is where you're getting to the point where you're
until I am presented with an argumentation from Seamus that actually rebuts this, that's fine.
Oh my God.
I am open to that, dude. I am open for anyone to do this. But in my opinion, I mean, Seamus came and talk about fallacies. And talk about fallacies and whatnot, but he didn't get into the he explained what a strawman was.
What's the claim?
Okay, the claim is, Seamus, that all fallacies.
What do you want me to rebut?
Listen, all fallacies are non sequiturs. Okay, a strawman is a fallacy, yes? So you have to show how it is a non sequitur.
Sorry, I got disconnected. You want me he wants me to prove that all fallacies don't follow?
No, Seamus. I'm asking you to provide me with the information because I haven't.
Up to this
point, I am open.
Seamus, let me just sum it up for you because I'll do a better job.
Can you imagine being this guy's English teacher? You'd be going through editing anything he wrote, and you'd be crossing off whole sections of words.
Right.
I've never met anyone who can say little in as many words as you, buddy.
So
You'll fucking go on and talk and say 5 or 6 sentences in something you could have said in 1 sentence.
Yeah, so Seamus,
it must be because English is a second language, right?
We've told him that, Ludic.
Yeah, Seamus, so he said that your claim on the board is that all fallacies are non sequiturs. Now, a straw man is a fallacy. So now he wants you to prove that a straw man is a non sequitur. That's what he's contesting. He thinks that a straw man does follow.
It does follow if you're judging it by form, but not for content. Seamus, will you help me or back me up or at least say something?
It does follow. It depends on what...
just let Seamus fucking answer.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We already explained why it is that type of fallacy, the strawman fallacy, doesn't follow. Tom said it. It's because if you were to say that by destroying the strawman, right, by rebutting it or defending against the strawman, that you've successfully rebutted or defended against their real position, That in fact doesn't follow. It doesn't follow that you attack a made-up position they don't hold, in fact, the real position, which you render no arguments towards. And so that's why it's a fallacy. It just doesn't follow that you attacked a straw man that now you've defeated their position, the real position, the non-straw man position.
So basically, Seamus, what you're saying is under the claim.
Why don't you guys use the
basically
method?
defeated Ludwig, please. I listen to your bullshit now. Shut the fuck up. Seamus.
Am I supposed to sit here?
Yeah. Shut it.
Seriously?
No.
Am I going to be as obstructed or what? Okay, Seamus. I understand. So you're saying that in virtue of a different claim, which is the reading of the situation, the conclusion that this this argument defeated that argument, that doesn't follow because under scrutiny that argument wasn't
claim
the first
isn't being
one.
made. It's
So
not a straw man.
you are proving a non sequitur based on on the argumentation for what happened. You are explaining what happened, and it doesn't follow. That is correct. I agree with you. I agree with you, because whenever you are presented, with this proposition, yes, it doesn't follow that he defeated its argument because the argument wasn't, what he was talking about. However, this is not how we assess what a fallacy is or identify a fallacy, Seamus. Do we?
Retard, dude. You really are.
Think about it like this.
Ludwig, shut the fuck up, dude.
I mean, I know exactly.
Why should I shut the fuck up?
Seamus, I know exactly what the problem is, right? Here, this is going to be very succinct and concise. Something is or is not a fallacy in virtue of the content in conjunction with the structure. Now, period. Something is not, it's not the case that you can say that something is not a fallacy in virtue of the structure alone. That's just period. That should be just crystal clear.
Okay, so you're basically saying that you cannot call something a fallacy based on the structure, yes?
You can't call something a fallacy on the structure alone.
Yes.
I mean, if the structure is wrong, yeah, right.
Seamus, I have a quick
This is what I'm saying, Tomer. This is why we have,
I mean, what I meant to say is you can't call something a fallacy.
That the structure is faulty
a fallacy or
because
not
it doesn't
a fallacy.
follow from the previous stance. This is why it is known as formal fallacy. Now, informal fallacy, it is the case that it does follow, but the premises are formed with faulty.
It follows in terms of
so the conclusion is going to be faulty,
not content.
Now,
You're not
my position. My original position.
You guys can't. He doesn't understand the difference between.
Yes,
part of the problem is
he doesn't get it.
it's also far away. So every time you say something, it sounds like it's yelling, and it's.
Who, me?
Now,
well, I'm sorry to distract.
Okay, well, thanks for someone telling me.
I just had a quick question for Seamus. So if a non sequitur is an invalid argument, are there fallacies which are not arguments and therefore would not be non sequiturs?
No, I mean, a fallacy basically applies to two types of things, right? And one of those types of things subsume the other. One type of thing that a fallacy applies to is an argument. Arguments can be fallacious, okay? Another thing that can be a fallacy is a type of reasoning, right? But all arguments have a certain type of reasoning, right? Reasoning to the conclusion, obviously. So the only things that can be fallacious are either arguments or reasoning. That's it. That's it. Just fallaciousness is a property of arguments or reasoning. That's it.
He wasn't.
Premises.
He wasn't cutting out for me.
Or structure.
Oh fuck! Is that my shit?
Use the word structure.
Here you go. There's your trophy. Now shut the fuck up.
There's my what?
Your trophy.
Good afternoon, boys and girls.
No.
Tim, your timing is amazing.
I got it, boys.
Now, all I said was that fallacies, and like I said, what we would expect out of clean reasoning is for the information to maintain its properties and attributes from the get-go to the conclusion. That those properties and attributes are, as faithful as possible as the original claim.
Well, hold on.
Whenever
I wanted to ask something to Shameless again.
We cause information loss, twist of information, present false information, and whatnot, that constitutes a fallacy, a fallacy on its own. Now, in order for us to determine whether a fallacy is, formal or informal, we just have to use the principle, or we could easily identify when we're talking about a conclusion that doesn't follow from the premise, it is a fallacy, and that's it. That's fine. But informal fallacies are informal on virtue that the original information provided, didn't hold its properties and attributes for the conclusion to be considered valid.
No,
it is faulty.
That's informal. Fucking idiot.
That's informal. This is what I'm saying. So,
okay,
it might follow. It might follow. The logical structure might follow, but the conclusion is going to be faulty in virtue that didn't hold the original piece of information with all its properties and attributes. So, to me, I'm concluding that yes, it does follow. It is not a non sequitur. It does follow, but the conclusion is faulty based on the premises were based on false information. Okay, this is what I'm saying.
So let's just recap. Let's just see where we're at.
Why don't you guys just contrast modus ponens to affirming the consequent? It's too heavy for him.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to understand that. Let's just see where we're at right now, Tasteless. Are all fallacies non sequiturs?
I already told you, man. I still hold to the idea that a straw man is a sequitur, and that it is a fallacy in virtue of the fault, the loss of information that went into the process of concluding. Now, that is
it a non sequitur or not? Yes or no?
And it is not all fallacies are non sequiturs. Yes.
No, and in the particular case of the straw man, is the straw man a non sequitur? Yes or no?
No.
So a straw man fallacy is not a non sequitur.
Listen, man. If you claim
yes, or the straw man fallacy is not a non sequitur, yes or no? Is it or isn't it?
You can say that it doesn't follow. That the conclusion.
Just no. Hold on, buddy. Just wait. Is the straw man fallacy a non sequitur? It is or it isn't.
Like I tell you, no. It is a sequitur. The fallacy itself is a sequitur. The conclusion is faulty, which would not follow that that is correct. Yes.
So, if a straw man is a sequitur, as you say, in virtue of the structure being correct.
Yeah, logically correct. Yes, logically valid.
Do you think that all informal fallacies are sequiturs?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Well, then it's not in virtue of
informal fallacies.
Well, then you're just contradicting yourself, or there's some other.
Not in virtue of that.
It also doesn't.
It is in virtue of them not holding information in an accurate manner. I don't know if they follow. They might or they might not.
It doesn't have anything to do with faulty. The conclusion
it has to do with the content.
Faulty.
Then it has to do with the content. Yes.
I mean, but it doesn't have any doesn't have anything to do with truth and falsity. Like you could show something to be fallacious without necessarily appealing to truth and falsity. And so, I mean, the thing is you could have a fallacy with all true premises and a true conclusion. So the conclusion could be true and both premises could be true. So there's just no inference in between them all. Just take 3 tautologies. All bachelors are unmarried. Take a triangle has 3 sides. Therefore, a square has 4 sides. Look, I mean, that's valid, right? And it's, I mean, not valid. I didn't mean to say valid. That right there has all true premises and a true conclusion, but it's just a non sequitur. That conclusion doesn't follow from those premises. And so it has nothing to, it doesn't really have anything to do with truth.
And that's how you reason all the time.
Okay, something like it has a faulty conclusion.
I agree with you, but we're talking about those types of fallacies. They would be formal in virtue that they don't follow. Yes, they don't follow. Now, and you can identify this just based on the structure. The logical structure does not follow, so it is a fallacy. That's fine. Now, what I'm trying to understand here is that whenever we're talking about informal fallacies, we're talking about content. and the structure might be valid, but
it's not
might
formal.
be logical.
It's not formal because it's a non sequitur. It's formal because it deals with the structure. The form
Okay,
of the argument.
great. It doesn't matter. In the case of the straw man, the logical structure does follow, but the conclusion is faulty. Is faulty based on the falsehood of the premises. Okay, so this is why what I was saying, and this is why it was so important that we understood what a fallacy was and what we were trying to do whenever we're talking about reasoning. For us to expect, valid and truthful conclusions. So whenever, something in the process gets, like I said, lost, twisted, or it logically doesn't follow, then we're talking about fallacies. It's not the definition of a fallacy is not they are non sequiturs per se. I would contest that fucking definition. But like I said, because the strawman does follow,
Nobody claimed that was the definition.
The structure follows, but it is faulty in virtue of the false information. This is what I'm saying.
This is fucked now because Tasteless is actually making things worse, right? So here's what's happening now. Tasteless is in a bind. He's trying to say that a straw man is a sequitur in virtue of the structure following, right? Now, he hasn't qualified it with anything else, specifically said follows in virtue of the structure following. Now, there are many fallacies in which the structure may follow, but
most in fact.
So, in the case of other fallacies, when I asked him, right, are all informal fallacies, which is defined as the structure following, right? But maybe the premises are not are faulty. When I ask him that, he says that no, the other informal fallacies are non sequiturs, right? So, in virtue of what is, say, an ad hominem or another informal fallacy a sequitur or a non sequitur? So is an ad hominem, does that follow, Tasteless, or does it not follow?
No, an ad hominem doesn't follow.
In virtue of what? The structure, just like the straw man, could be valid.
No, the logical structure doesn't follow.
What are you talking about?
Yes, to say that a person, since a person is a bum, what he's saying is incorrect, it doesn't follow.
Holy fucking shit.
Look, the structure is...
that what's going on here is, so like, I don't get confused, right, by thinking that all presentations of informal fallacies could be structurally okay. It just has to do with their content. That's not, in fact, true. So what the thing is it could either be for the informal, it could be that it's valid, actually embedded within a legitimate structure. Okay, and I'll give you an example of that in a second. One way to do it is just to encase an informal fallacy inside a deductive argument form, like modus ponens or something. Okay, so the other thing, it could just be ambiguous, right? Like if I say something like, everyone believes
you cut out. Am I the only one he cut out for?
No, he cut out for me too.
Well, we can just use modus ponens, right? Tasteless. If you're gay, then you like cake. You're gay, therefore you like cake.
Well, the structure that he objected to in the ad hominem, I think, would be the same as the straw man, right? It's just like if A then B, A therefore B, and with his example of you're wrong because you're an idiot, right? Or you're an idiot, so therefore you're wrong. That's just if A then B, A therefore B. It's the same structure.
There's a difference between an argument being being valid in its form and it being sound, right? Or unsound.
It's just the variables that are incorrect. I don't think Tasteless is going to be able to grasp this, to be honest.
But when he was giving the idea of the ad hom, when he was giving the idea of the ad hom, he said that it didn't follow from calling someone a bum that their argument is invalid.
It's the difference between it being true or must be true. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Strawman.
Look, Tasteless, I can use that exact same form. Watch this. If it turns out, if you are wrong, then you're wrong. You're wrong, therefore you're wrong. That's the exact same structure that you just said was invalid.
What do you mean, Tomer?
Oh, man.
Look, a strawman is saying, he said that. You take that to be true, which is false, but you take that to be true. If that is true, then everything that follows from it is true. So the conclusion is that whatever all the set of consequences, evolving or resulting out of the initial premise, it follows. So, but it is not going to be, it's not truthful. It is faulty. Why is it faulty? Because the first premise, is basing its truthness on falsehoods. So that is a straw man. An ad hominem attack.
It has nothing to do with whether or not it's true or false.
Because he's a bum, he's incorrect. That doesn't follow. You see?
But it doesn't follow in virtue of the premises, though.
I thought a straw man was
the premise might be true. The premise in that case might be true, but it doesn't follow that since he's a bum, everything he's saying is wrong. That is an ad hominem attack. That is you're trying to discredit. You're trying to discredit the argument.
It's actually a genetic attack. That's the genetic fallacy.
Based on something that it is irrelevant.
Yeah, it's the genetic fallacy. It's not an ad hominem.
For the argument. So since it is irrelevant, it doesn't follow.
I mean, the way he just formulated it right there would be the genetic fallacy. You are a bum, therefore everything you say is wrong. It's the genetic fallacy. Because of this trait of you, therefore everything you say is wrong.
Maybe Tasteless doesn't understand why it's called a straw man. Tasteless, do you understand why it's called a straw man? Do you understand?
I already explained you, dude.
No, well, explain it again.
Here he goes. Let's say you say something, and what you said has several
Why
properties.
The fallacy is called a straw man fallacy. Where it gets its name,
yes,
straw man.
I'm going to explain.
Just answer that part of the question, buddy.
Because
not something
it is representing the argument differently, in a different manner, in a weaker manner.
Yes.
Losing its strong properties and attributes of the original one.
You're
presenting them as weaker than they are.
Right.
So you, to discredit that argument, but you're using it and you're presented it as if it was the original argument,
Yes.
So you can conclude that you're wrong, you're right, or that he's wrong. Okay. So
yeah, you're trying to trick the person
why
into
it's a
agreeing
strong
the
because
lesser form of the
you
argument.
use the image or the straw man figure to represent the weakest of the arguments possible. Yes. So you remove the argument of all of its properties and attributes, which make them strong, for you to present a fucking ridiculous stance, easily attackable and easily dismantleable by you. That is a straw man. That is why it's called straw man. Okay. And I already said that the difference, I mean, whenever you do this, if you want to defeat a person, you might want to represent their argument in the best way possible. If you are correct and you're going to contest something about it, you have to be truthful or even charitable enough to give that argument more weapons and more fucking armor for it to sustain itself. But if you're able, you're going to be able to prove that incorrect for some reason or attack it. That's fine. That's a steel man. Okay. This is why a straw man is called a straw man. Okay. But like I said, fallacies, occur whenever we are trying to use reason and we commit errors there that causes loss of information, twisting of information, and misrepresentation of information that will lead us invariably to a faulty conclusion. This is why fallacies are fallacies. Okay. In the case of a straw man, if you take the first premise to be true, which is false, but you take it to be true, everything follows from it. And yes, you were able to dismantle a straw man, but the straw man was not the original argument.
Why are you still talking?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes, if you were to do that, then it would follow. And if that were true, then it would follow. But no.
Hold on a sec. Does anybody agree with Tasteless?
No.
It seems as though his understanding of fallacies is all right. I mean, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I didn't hear anything.
I get the first point where he understands the structure of it being a strawman, right? You're building something that isn't you're building a weaker target, right? A paper tiger, so to speak, and you're going, hey, look, I've beat this. It's just the part that I don't understand how it follows from that it isn't a non sequitur. That's the part I'm really not getting.
Is that what he believes?
Yeah, he thinks a strawman fallacy is not a non sequitur.
I also think it's wrong when he described the fallacy as like misrepresenting information. I can tell you 3 statements that are all true, but it could still be a fallacy. I mean,
no, I think
he doesn't get that.
His problem is just that it's dependent on what conclusion you talk about, right? When you're talking about the conclusion that you have 2 people that when you have a discussion, right, or a debate, you have 2 sides, right? Let's call one person A and the other person B, right? And both of these persons, one of them is the one who's strawman, right, and the other is the one who is the straw manner, right? So let's say person A is the straw manner and person B is the one who gets straw manned, right? And I think what Tasteless' problem is, right? Person B, the one who gets straw manned, person A, the straw manner, his argument, it can be valid, right? All he's saying it can follow, right? But the conclusion he makes follows, right? Not the conclusion of the one who is strawmanned follows, right? So when Tasteless says it's a sequitur, he's saying that in virtue of the conclusion following that the strawmanner has, right?
The whole point of a straw man is you're making the conclusion that the person is wrong based off their relevant information.
What I'm saying
right. It's a relevance fallacy.
What I'm saying is
fallacy irrelevant.
The own conclusion, the conclusion the straw manner makes, that follows, that's valid, right? But the conclusion of the person who gets straw manned, that doesn't follow, right? But Tasteless is saying it's a sequitur in virtue of the conclusion of the straw manner following. Right?
That's kind of what I think he's saying. That's
Yes,
the
exactly.
only way
That's exactly correct.
No. He's saying that it's not a
what
fallacy.
Juker said is exactly what I think.
Now, Juker, do you remember when the conversation I had with you the other day about this?
Yeah, but
Now, do you remember what I said that was what was going to happen?
Yeah.
No.
What just happened, Juker?
I have been explaining, this.
But Ray,
very
let me respond to Ray.
But okay, just let me
just shortly. Ray, I honestly believe that that's what he's thinking, right? So it's not.
Right, but now if you were to ask him,
no.
to repeat what do you think is going to happen now?
I'm going to state exactly what he's saying. Listen, I don't think that basing it on a different premise or a different proposition, which is this doesn't follow the original stance, is valid because you're now assessing a different proposition, which is this is what the other person said. That is a different proposition. That would not follow. Of course, it wouldn't follow. To say that what the other person said was accurate, it wouldn't follow. But the structure itself, it does follow it at every point. And the only way for you to know that is a fallacy is if you are given the information, the original claim, and you run that shit again. When you remove the straw man, and then you make it follow the logical consequences, then you will see a difference between the original, set of consequences, and then you say, no, this is not correct. But it was based on the falsehood of the information being presented, and you're able, the only way you're able to recognize that that was a fallacy was if you know the original stance. Okay, if a person, you know, perceiving this knows the original stance, is the only way, because everything out of the false premise follows logically, and the conclusion might follow and be, you know, accurate, and will sustain every logical consequence. Great, but this is what I'm saying. Its structure follows. Now, the other claim, hey man,
that's
hey
not
man,
what people
is that correct?
means though. You're just
Is that correct?
redefining.
No, it doesn't
You're just
follow.
redefining
Great.
the word. It means in the first sense, not the second sense. So you're
What do you mean?
you're just redefining straw man there to say that it follows. That's just silly. That look, the straw man is the character, and is actually the first example, which you agreed doesn't follow.
No, it does follow.
No one.
The structure follows.
No one is disputing. No one is disputing what you're saying. Look, this is how stupid it is being said here, right? Let's say that Tom's position is position A, right? And then Tasteless comes up, and then attributes position B. Tom, Tasteless goes about, he does so in a flow. Okay, everything is about position B, wrong or you know, false or whatever follows 100%. Right? You still straw man them, Tasteless, because a straw man is in fact defined in terms of you arguing against B when his position is A. Okay,
right?
So
it's irrelevant.
all that you're saying here is that all of the shit that he's attacking within the straw man could follow that he thinks he's attacking position B. No one's disputing that, and that's not what a fucking straw man means. So you're just redefining fucking words.
No, Shane.
Yes.
Exactly
so
what you said makes sense. And this is what I was talking about.
Mike, that
If
straw man
we're
is
talking
fallacious,
about,
and it doesn't
listen, if we are going to corroborate every piece of every premise within the fucking logical assessment you're doing, then yes, it wouldn't follow that if it's necessary that the first premise is met, the first criteria, which is this stances has to be, you know, equal. That's fine, because you're claiming they are equal, which they are not. Then if you attribute that to be the non sequitur, that's fine. I agree with that. But like I said, the only way to do that is when you externally, you know, verify that the premise is truthful.
Don't bring the Jews into this.
So the premise is truthful, and that's it. Okay. But within the statement being made, you cannot identify any problem with it. It is going to be until you know that the information is faulty or false or, you know, not accurate, that everything renders invalid. Okay? This is what I'm saying.
So it's not a straw man unless the third party becomes aware of it, the first initial information?
No. It is a straw man. This is okay. The moment you're doing it, you're committing it, of course. But you would have to know, a person who is, you know, in front of a straw man has to know the truth, how truthful
as soon as you do
the
it,
information, how accurate, not the truthful, how accurate it is the information being presented.
This is so fucked.
Now listen. In the case of the other type of fallacy,
you're saying it's irrelevant. Tasteless. No, you've already admitted that it's irrelevant whether or not the other person knows. You said you already committed the straw man fallacy. So it's irrelevant if the other
you are a
person
straw
knows.
man in the person whenever you change the
Right. So
attributes
the other person's
and the
acknowledgement or
properties.
knowing the other person's knowledge of the initial conclusion or the initial argument doesn't matter.
So tell me, Jovan, when are you going to, if I say, hey man, Tomer did this, and this following
No, you
all
Tasteless,
the
you've
series of
admitted
logical...
as soon as you did it, you committed a straw man.
Yes. So
but it had nothing to do with the knowledge of anyone else.
Great. Okay. Let me ask a question then. If I say Tomer said this, you take that to be truthful, okay? And that has logical consequences. Yes, that has logical consequences. Those consequences will follow if you take that to be true. Yes. Since you trust me, you take that to be true. You say, that's it. This is logically valid, sound, and whatnot.
Things that you don't
Great.
take to be true can have things that logically follow them as well, Tasteless.
Tasteless,
what you just said is wrong.
It is only whenever you know that the information was not being was not truthful or accurate, that you know that the strawman took place.
People when he talks?
No, he just doesn't stop talking. He just doesn't care what other,
did you understand what I
people's
said?
opinions and understand.
Listen to me. Something following does not have anything to do with whether or not you accept it or think it's true.
But it does follow. This is what I'm saying. It does.
That's why I wanted you to stop right then and there, because we're not ever going to be able to get back to that point. Just keep going.
No, I think.
Just keep going. Keep going.
Like I said, it does follow from the first, premise. You thinking it is correct. Everything follows from it. Now, yes, I understand.
Look, no, you thinking it's correct has nothing to do with whether something follows from it.
Jovan, I am conceding that if we're talking about A being equal to B, that is not true. It doesn't follow. For you to say that it does, it is equal. And that if that's where you are attributing the non sequitur to be, that's fine. I concede that. No problem. Okay? But I am saying this. It is only in virtue of you identifying that you will be able to identify a strawman. Okay? Or no? Are you denying this?
Yeah, you identifying that it doesn't follow, yes.
Exactly. If you don't identify it, then everything looks cool. Everything looks logically.
That's how you find a fallacy, right? Yes.
No. What do you mean? That's how you find a fallacy. What do you mean with that?
You find what doesn't follow.
This guy can talk for 5 minutes now.
Holy fucking
Tasteless, if someone doesn't recognize it as a fallacy, it doesn't mean it's not a fallacy, Tasteless.
You can recognize other fallacies, but by the identify that it doesn't logically follow. Okay, this is what we're talking about.
The overlap of fallacy.
Whenever
you
and that's a formal fallacy.
And a conclusion, yes, that it doesn't follow. You can identify it just in virtue of it not holding logical.
No, you can identify that it's fallacious. You might not be able to pick out the exact fallacy, right? But you can identify.
No, not at all. You can identify it being fallacious in virtue that it doesn't logically follow.
Yes.
That's it. But in the case of the strawman,
so you agree?
It does logically follow. But
no, it doesn't.
Holy fucking shit.
Wait, there's a language problem going on here. When you say something doesn't logically follow, you're usually talking about the structure, right? You're usually talking about formal fallacy, right? A problem with the structure, right? The informal ones are problems to do with the premises. They can still logically follow. You can still build a fucking truth table and it shows. Right?
Yes.
So what? There you go.
You just said that
they're all non sequiturs. It's just that in the first, it's a problem with the logical structure of it that makes it that it doesn't follow, right? In the second case, that's not necessarily true.
In the second case, to what it is referring then? To the content, right?
No.
How do you not understand this?
I don't know what you mean by content. Tell us what you mean by content.
Can we just buy him a book collectively as a group so that he can read it?
What do you mean by content?
You're making a distinction, right, between structure and content. Yes or no? Yes or no, Ludik? And they both can be fallacious in virtue of one or the other or both. Yes?
Listen, the logical structure is part of the content, right? You see?
Yes, of course. But what you were saying is regarding the structure, it follows. Yes, it logically follows. Regarding the content, it doesn't follow. So you need to address and to know the content and to be able to be in the position of knowing that the content it doesn't follow from reality or from the original claim for you to call that fucking thing of fallacy. Okay? And this is what we're talking about. But the structure, it does follow.
Okay, Tasteless. So you still have the opinion that some fallacies are sequiturs? Yes or no? This is yes or no question.
Yes, in virtue
Okay, so
of
here's
the
what we're gonna
structure,
do.
yes.
You're going to type in the chat an example of a fallacy, right?
I already did this.
And wait, so did he provide the example?
No, he provided an example, Danny, and then I showed him how it didn't follow.
Did he type it?
No, he talked about the poison in the well, and I showed him how the poison in the well fallacy doesn't follow.
Did he agree?
Yeah.
Okay, so then he hasn't provided a counterexample to the claim that all fallacies are non sequiturs. When he provides that, then he can speak. This is my plan. I don't know if anyone else wants to continue a conversation, but I think he needs to provide a counterexample. And then if he tries, we can show him why it is actually a non sequitur, and then that'll be the end of the story.
Well, he thinks the straw man is one example.
Right. So he's provide an example. What I want Tasteless to do is in the chat.
Okay.
Provide an
This
example.
is good. Yes, this is good.
In the chat.
You
Okay.
can demonstrate it like that. Okay. Okay. So let's say
type it.
you
No.
take that-
I'm not dealing with.
This is easy.
No, it's not
You,
easy.
Danny,
Nothing.
or-
What you say is
Danny
easy.
says. Danny
Okay.
says.
It's
Listen,
no,
listen.
no,
Must
no.
have a
Danny
Spanish
says.
keyboard.
Okay, go ahead. I muted you. I will not unmute you till you provide an example of a fallacy that,
I love you,
that is
Danny.
a non sequitur. Okay, a fallacy that it is a sequitur. I'm sorry.
I would get him to do it with the main point of contention is with the straw man one, right? With an example
Right,
of that.
you- whatever straw man is your fallacy, that's fine. But any fallacy, just go ahead and type it. An example of a fallacy where there's a sequitur.
I think what also might have helped is to, if we first define the words precisely, the terms, right? If we were very precise in defining what actually is the straw man fallacy and what actually does it mean to have a non-sequitur.
Okay, he just put one in.
So is it? That's one.
Okay, so Danny says he's a raging homo, that he would fuck any black man available. Jovan is black. Danny would fuck Jovan. So, okay.
The truth? Danny is a homo. It's just a homo.
Okay, but I mean, now when you say available, that's very tricky what you mean. But if we take out the word available, then that would follow. That's not a fallacy.
Yeah, that's not a fallacy at all.
That's not a fallacy unless you.
No, he's saying because in virtue of your actual position just being gay.
Oh, okay. I thought you says that because I'm a raging homo, I'll do. Okay. I don't actually say that I would fuck any black man, right? That's what okay. So, in virtue of Danny being homosexual, he would fuck any black man available. Okay, so where's the sequitur that
I thought we were doing strawman.
Yeah, this is fine though. Well, whatever example. Okay, so I'm gonna mute Tasteless. He's gonna point out the sequitur in what he just wrote.
Okay, so the truth is that you just you're a homo, and maybe you said that you would fuck some men. Okay, but I changed that and I portray your argument as you saying that you're a raging homo that would fuck any black man available, which is false.
Wait, okay, so you're
listen.
I
It is
want to make
false.
sure I understand. I don't understand. So you're saying that in your example, you're saying that you're making the claim that I said that I'm a raging homo and that therefore I would fuck
Of
any
course.
black man available. What's my original statement being that I'm just
Your
homo?
original statement is Danny is just a homo. You said
Okay.
I'm a homosexual.
Right,
But I'm
okay.
portraying you saying that as you said you were a raging homo that you would fuck any man available. Jovan is black, so Danny would fuck Jovan. I am strawmanning your position. You know,
It's a misrepresentation, isn't it?
No. I am strawmanning it because I am making it seem. I mean, just the fact that you're a homo doesn't imply anything at all.
I think that's just a misrepresentation.
So
Not
what I'm
giving,
saying,
like,
what I'm saying is that everything from this initial claim follows, but the truth it is that you just say that you're a homo. You know,
you're just making a shitty assumption. It's not a.
What do you mean?
You don't know what a straw man is, basically. You're just saying you're
re-edited-
misrepresenting them.
Yeah, you just re-edited a premise. You didn't like.
Yeah,
re-edit the position.
Like the premise would be like pit bulls are the best dogs because they have large jowls or something like that, and then
you're supposed to refute and
say
you're supposed to attack argument B while Danny's argument's A.
Yes,
but present
argument B is a lesser argument. So like you would give a shittier structure or a shittier
try again, Tasteless, but make sure you put in what I originally.
Don't
forget to mute him. Yes, okay.
Lacks relevance.
Okay, try again.
Does he think that was a fucking straw man that he posted?
Yeah.
He's gonna try again. He's gonna try again. It's okay.
Oh, you shit eater.
I just love Danny's confusion when he posted. It's like, what is this?
This isn't what I asked for. It's very clever.
I'm actually excited. I'm ready.
I hope Tasteless submits the straw man in the form of a meme.
Oh my goodness.
I think Jovan's just upset that me and Danny won't sleep with him.
Typical. I could easily fuck both.
By the way, this is more evidence for my position that Tasteless doesn't know what a straw man is.
I think that's been pretty much confirmed, right? Like he's supposed to give him the evidence of a straw man, and then he didn't. What more evidence do you need?
I didn't. I thought he wasn't even intending to, demonstrate a straw man, but he was.
Yeah, he was. Oh, we've seen this before, right? Tom's pointed it out. We've seen it before. It's fucking Tasteless would just. You'll misrepresent Tasteless, right? It might not even be on purpose, but you might accidentally misrepresent him, and Tasteless would call that a straw man.
But I thought he gave a fairly cogent example when I asked him, right, why do you think it's called a straw man? He gave it, right, you build this paper tiger or whatever, you build a false argument, and you strike that down, and you say, see, look, I've struck down the false argument, the weaker one. And what the fuck what was that gay black shit he just posted?
I think it's just like he thinks he read that and then he doesn't actually understand it, but he's just actually able to parrot.
Did he try to describe a straw man as like logic voodoo?
No, subconsciously he's actually racist and a homophobe. So it would be worse to fuck gay black men rather than just gay men. So he assumed that was the worst argument.
Are you saying it could be a straw man via implication?
Tasteless, are you Googling something? What are you doing?
Give him all the time in the world so we can fix this, so we never have to talk about it again.
He's trying to scoop his brains back into his head with a spoon.
I think he's trying to figure out what the fuck a straw man is now.
Yeah, he's had like 2 days to Google this, right? To watch videos.
Just let him, you know.
I hope we're not stopping him. Do you think talking about him is stopping him from doing it?
No one can stop Tasteless.
He might have to stop. He might have to stop typing to listen.
I lost 2 Hearthstone games in a row listening to this conversation.
See, that's what happened to me, man.
That's why Danny came in all heated and shit, man.
Well, I've been winning.
Danny, that's a straw man because you're just bad at video games.
Bro, I lost 5 fucking games of StarCraft in a row listening to Tasteless earlier. I kept drone rushing because I was brain dead.
Yeah, you gotta play Zerg when you're listening to Tasteless. It saps your brain cells.
Yeah, all I gotta do is macro, but I wasn't even macroing. I was just rushing with drones.
Danny, any update on your stub toe?
No, nothing. Trust me, I would. Okay,
He's gonna
here we
injure
go.
his knee next.
Okay, I'm gonna unmute Tasteless. Okay, my straw man. Danny says he would fuck any man. What is my original claim, Tasteless? Oh, okay, I see. I would fuck every cute man. Any cute man, okay.
You're still not. God damn it.
Is this what induction is?
Danny says he would fuck a man, any man. Johnny is a man. Danny would fuck Johnny. That follows. That's not a fallacy.
No, but if my original claim, you see, the conclusion there doesn't follow from my original claim, right? And the way he got to that conclusion was through a straw man.
That follows, actually.
But he's not attacking anything. He's not attacking your argument.
He's not destroying your
just
argument.
Misrepresenting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God damn, Tasteless.
Why is this
Fuck.
so entertaining? This is way better than a YouTube video.
Are you guys still talking about this? Holy fuck!
Yeah, he's unable to formulate a proper strawman.
So let me understand. You're saying that this is not a strawman?
Well, you didn't defeat it.
Whoa.
Well, I guess.
This
Wait,
isn't
hold
a
on.
strawman. This isn't a strawman.
I thought it was on my first. Wait, if
Let me
he's
take a
saying,
look at
if
it.
I'm making the claim that I would fuck every
No,
man,
yeah.
and then he says, well, Danny said that he would fuck any man, and therefore he would fuck the ugliest person, Johnny, right? Well, that's false. He used a straw man in order to arrive at the conclusion, right? Well, he would have to say what I said was false,
How would that
right?
be a straw man? How would that
Yeah,
be
he
a
would
straw
have to
man
say
if you
what
make
I
that
said
claim?
was false, right?
Yeah.
No, how would that be a straw man if you make the claim that you would fuck anyone?
No,
and
every
therefore-
cute man. No, that's not my claim.
Oh, every
Look,
cute man. Okay.
right, every cute man. And then he says, my
doesn't have to-
claim.
Okay. All right, then that's a straw man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a straw. This is a straw man. But you see, Tasteless, the idea of the straw man is that you're taking my original claim, changing it, and then forming a conclusion. And you're saying that conclusion isn't true in virtue of what I said.
No, he's just misrepresenting. what you
So
said.
he would have to say he would
It has
have
to
to
be more than a claim,
contradict
right? It
your
has to be an
original
argument.
claim that you would. What is it? You'd fuck every man. Does his conclusion do that? It would have to refute that. It would have to be the conclusion. Have to be this is not true that Danny would fuck any man.
Oh yeah.
So unless it does that, it's not a straw man.
Yeah, this is
not like an
just,
argument.
this is just
he would only fuck
misrepresentation.
every cute man, and then if he said he would fuck every man, that would be a straw man.
Yeah, that's a strawman.
God damn, Tasteless, what's wrong with you, dude?
You go from
this was
Danny
supposed to
would
be your
fuck-
finest hour, dude. You were just like, get ready for it, Tom. You're just like making yourself look bad again.
Well, why are you even talking about these written fucking
So
logical
is it or not a strawman?
Tom can't lose, man. It's just crazy. I've never seen someone win so much.
So let me ask you then: is it a strawman or not?
I don't think it is. What I've heard of it, no, it doesn't sound like straw
about
man.
being fucking nothing but cute guys and saying he can fuck every man. That's a straw man, yeah, because he didn't say that. Like his argument was this:
Simply misrepresenting somebody is not a strawman.
No,
His conclusion. He's reaching a conclusion based on that fucking.
What
false
argument? What argument? I would fuck every cute man. What is the argument?
Okay, the argument is
doesn't necessarily have to be an argument. Joe.
So what he said was, the guy said I would fuck every cute man, and then the person said, well, he would fuck every man,
Look,
so therefore he would.
You
fuck
have to give a different argument than the person gave.
Yeah, it was.
That means the
literally, you would fuck
person gave
every-
an argument.
Yeah.
Where's the argument?
Yeah, Tasteless. Very simply, it's just this: when you have to defeat the straw man in order for it to be a fallacy, right?
No, you
If
don't. You don't have to defeat the strawman, but you have
Well,
to
you have to-
present.
present an argument against it, right?
Well, you just have to present their argument and then present a different argument
so
that's
let me
easier
ask you
to
something,
defeat.
guys.
Right, that
What
defeated
is
it. That's what I meant.
Okay,
Yeah, and Danny, in the one that Tasteless, stop talking and get muted. And the one that Tasteless did, all he said it was that Danny said, "I would fuck every cute man."
It would
Where's
have
the
to be.
argument?
Where's the what?
Argument.
He would have to.
Yeah, the straw man's about an argument, not just representing a claim or a preposition. You need to have an argument that you're re-inferring stuff from.
I think a proposition, you can strawman a proposition too.
Isn't that just misrepresentation?
I'm not sure if if it has to be.
No, it would be like this. If I made the claim that I would fuck every cute man, and
That's
then
a
he
weird
says,
example too.
Yeah,
Just like
yeah, but because I know this is just inconceivable. But if I make the claim I would fuck every cute man, and then he says, Danny says, "What? It deleted? No. He deleted it.
he's embarrassed.
Why did you delete that, Tasteless?
No, it would Tasteless.
No, I
seriously,
didn't. I didn't.
Someone deleted it.
Let me see. I can see if
Who
it
did
ain't
that?
on
Check the mod logs.
I am going to report it.
No. Look. If the mod log says nothing, so Tasteless would have to delete his own fucking message.
Okay.
Oh,
it's
nice
just,
try.
it's just lie.
Tasteless, why would you lie?
Okay, so Tasteless.
I didn't delete it.
It doesn't matter.
You did delete it, Tasteless. Because if anyone else look, I'll delete it right now, and it's going to show up in the mod log. All right. Now, let me see if it showed up.
Tasteless, we'll just check the video.
Jovan
back.
deleted one message by Tasteless.
Oh, fuck.
Okay.
Tasteless, you realize the audio recording takes a screen capture as well, right? Duh.
Okay.
Why would you lie, Tasteless?
There it is, man. It is not deleted. What the fuck is wrong
You
with you?
deleted it.
This
I
is
just
what I
posted a
understand.
picture. I'm
Wait,
looking at it.
Wait,
The
Jovan and I
previous
are
one.
going to talk. Jovan and I are going to talk. So, Jovan, if I make the claim that I would fuck every cute man, and then
Oh, he
Tasteless says
didn't
that's
delete it. Why did you guys say he deleted it?
it disappeared when I on my screen.
Oh, he edited it.
Okay, well, okay, that's fine. But if I make the claim that I would fuck every cute man, and then Tasteless said that's false, right? That it's false that Danny would fuck any man. Wait, I'm trying to.
Wait, no. The problem is that's a bad example, because you have to the person you are trying to strawman, right? You have to somehow, you want to falsify that person, right? You want to show other people that other person is false, right? So that has to be the context, right? So maybe you claim something like, I'm not gay because some kind of reason, right? You say, I'm not gay because I had sex with a girl once, right? Or something like that. No, but it has to be more compelling, right?
And the
Because
person says, this person that he's not gay because he fucked his dog or something.
no, but it should be for this argument. It should be.
Just look up a fucking example on Google, you retards. Holy shit.
It should be person one makes
No,
claim
that's not
A.
the problem. We're not trying to find a good example of a straw man argument. Tesla's giving an example where we have a straw man argument where there's a sequitur.
I posted the general form of
form-
a straw man right up there. If you scroll up a little bit, right? You need misrepresentation is inherent to straw man. You need to misrepresent the claim, and then you need to infer from that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, if you look at what Tasteless did, he misrepresented Danny's claim to fuck any man, and then he made the inference that Johnny is someone that he will fuck because he is a man in the room, right?
But that's not a straw man.
It's not a straw man because there's no element of disagreement. Right?
Yeah.
He
has to say that he would have to provide. He would have to say.
Oh yeah, you have to take it down.
Yeah, he's not attacking the.
He's not attacking the straw man. He would have to say, Danny says he would fuck any man, but I've witnessed that he's never had relations with any man, or with these set of men, or something like that.
That's such a shitty example.
Yeah,
Does that mean he has to add another line saying,
Right,
"But
I
Danny
agree.
won't fuck Johnny"?
I've never seen Danny fuck Johnny, therefore Danny won't fuck any man.
Any man there. That would be the straw man.
Yeah, that's a much better one.
Okay, but then you have to go say, therefore, Danny's original claim is false. That's the non sequitur right there, right? The non sequitur would be after destroying the straw man, therefore, Danny's original claim is false, but that wasn't the straw man wasn't my original claim, and that's what he defeated. Do you see that? No, is Tasteless muted? No, he's not. So
great. Let's take Chomp's example.
Right, therefore,
it is a good
Danny
example.
would
Okay, Chomp,
fuck.
what did you say? So we can, add
So
it
is
there.
your example exactly of Danny's an ugly man or Johnny's an ugly man? I haven't seen Danny fuck Johnny, therefore Danny wouldn't fuck any man. Or yeah, therefore Danny wouldn't fuck
no. Look at
every
his
man.
original claim though. It's still all fucked up. Because Danny's original claim is, I would fuck every cute man. Him fucking an ugly man doesn't mean he would then fuck every cute man.
Let's make it.
No,
out
that's
to be-
simple. People, that's simple.
Don't strawmans have to do
Tasteless
with,
fucked.
factual
Tasteless just fucked himself. Look at it. It says, I would fuck every cute man. The fact that Danny would fuck an ugly man has nothing to do with the fact that fucking he would not. The fact that he would fuck every cute man.
I'm going to get my book of fallacies. This is a different fallacy, I swear.
I'm gonna go hang myself. See you guys later.
No, come back.
Let's just make Danny a closet homosexual. Like he says something like, I had sex with a girl once, right? And therefore I'm not
No, none of this matters. This is all low key.
Oh, I meant the
Tasteless
other way
calling
around.
Danny a faggot.
Yeah, this is.
This is-
Tasteless,
you
can
need
you
to-
come up with a better example? This is like so stupid.
I already,
Oh, man.
I almost said
The
it.
person making the straw man is using that false proposition to reach a conclusion. Okay.
No, you
now,
have to
listen.
No, it's
The-
not just any conclusion. The conclusion is that you defeated their actual position. That's the part you're not
You
understanding.
defeated the person. You're not you concluded that you defeated
not the
the
person,
actual
the argument that
position.
the person's making. original.
So
Sorry, the
your
original claim.
conclusion in your proposed straw man has to defeat their actual position.
Yeah.
Okay, so like Chum said, let's take it as such. Doesn't matter. Let's arrange that to fit that criteria. Okay.
I just see. My point was, look, Danny says he'll fuck any man. Danny would fuck Johnny. How is that defeating that argument? That an original, even the claim that he just put.
Yeah, that's not a straw man.
Yeah, let's try
you
again.
have to add that
Tasteless,
thing at
just-
the end that Danny didn't fuck.
Just try again. Go and put it in chat. Let's
Right,
try
he would
again.
have to say Danny would not fuck any.
That's what I said.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Tasteless, just try again, okay?
Wait, do we want to explain it once more?
Well, unless Tasteless, do you
That's
understand
fine.
what we're saying?
Let's. Oh fuck! Wait.
Such a weird form. I don't know. The whole thing's just weird.
It's substituting a person's actual position or argument with a distorted, exaggerated, or misrepresented.
No, we already know that.
Yeah, we know that.
Okay. So that would be a straw man.
Another part was Johnny is the ugliest guy in the room. Just kind of is like
there you
doesn't
go.
even need to be
It
added
follows.
to that.
It follows.
Also.
Follows. It
All right,
follows.
let's see. Okay. Oh, we should keep on with the same example. Okay. I would fuck every cute man. My straw man, Danny said, okay. Johnny is the ugliest.
Oh, so an example would be like, Danny says he'll only fuck hot guys, right? So the misrepresentation would be like, Danny will fuck any guy. So therefore, I refuted the claim that Danny only fucks hot guys. Something like that.
Yeah.
Why is he adding Johnny is the ugliest guy in the room?
He's just trying to like make digs at the same time and be cute, but it's just really making him look dumb.
Tasteless, why did you add Johnny as the ugliest guy in the room?
Because that would be a contendable thing. The
No, it's
original
really-
claim was,
Wait,
Danny
let's first
says he
see.
can fuck any man. Johnny is the ugliest guy in the room. Johnny is also a man, and so Danny would fuck the ugliest guy in the room. That's it. Or the would fuck Johnny, which is implied that he is the ugliest guy in the
It doesn't
room.
matter if they're
Making
ugly.
it
doesn't matter if he's
making
ugly.
it damaging for Danny. Now,
But it
Danny's
doesn't matter because
original claim
he's
would that he would fuck every cute man, which is his position. But since the other person straw man it, the conclusion based on the straw man, is something hurtful to Danny, which is not the original.
No, the conclusion based off the straw man does not have to defeat the original point. That's the whole point, is that it doesn't defeat the original point.
Exactly. So this is the point. I mean, he's using a straw man to say that he's incorrect because he have observed that he hasn't done this behavior. I mean, it has a criteria that Tomer was asking for. But the problem is, it does follow. The logical consequences of the strawman does follow, but the only problem there is that the claim is different from the strawman.
Look, this is at your straw man. I'm good with this. Because he has the original claim. He has him restating a different claim, and then he has him attacking that claim.
And it is true that, he hasn't fucked Johnny, but Johnny is not a cute man. That is why Johnny hasn't fucked Johnny. Danny hasn't
Does
fucked
everyone
Johnny.
agree that this one's a straw man?
It's so stupid. Why would he even?
That one's a straw man.
This is fine. This one's a straw man.
That what?
See, you did add the thing at the end about did not fuck.
Yeah.
Right? You can just restate.
He stated the original claim. Well, Danny
where did you
originally
put it?
claimed something. Do you see it, Danny?
Or is it under your name? I don't.
No, it's under Tasteless. The one he just posted.
Okay. You edit. It was edited.
Yeah.
Where's it at?
Hold on. I'll just.
Look, Danny claims, right, that he would only fuck you, man, right? And from that, it follows that he would not fuck Johnny because Johnny is an ugly man. So that's what Danny said. Okay, and the straw man lies, and then comes the misrepresentation of the straw man, right? He says that Danny says he would fuck any man, right? And from that premise, it follows that he would fuck Johnny, right? So he defeated Danny's argument for not fucking Johnny by using a false premise, right? So that's a straw man.
So it
I don't know,
follows it is
dude.
an informal fallacy.
It's just a
It's
really
non
shitty
sequitur because it doesn't follow the premise, the original premise.
Oh my God, Olsen's so smart. At least he gets it. So, all right, we got it now. Okay, you guys.
This is what I was saying. This is what I was saying. If the non sequitur comes from the premise not following the original claim, that's fine. I would agree with that. The problem, and I said this, is that you're going to know only when you become aware that the premise was false or not accurate. Okay.
So,
but
your knowledge
everything from there
your knowledge does not affect whether or not it's a straw man.
All the conclusions based on the straw man, they follow. Okay, they follow.
Yes.
This is what I was saying.
Yeah, that's Ray.
You're referencing something else when you say it follows.
But you will know it until you are presented with the original claim.
Knowledge doesn't change whether or not it's a straw man. Do you agree, Tasteless?
Ray, did you hear this?
Except the original person's intent to.
So when will you know that that is a fallacy then?
Wouldn't it be... Danny says that he would fuck any man. Oh, so you're saying that you're gay. Attacks the idea that he's gay. Johnny says that he would fuck this woman.
We already have it. You're making it way too complicated now. We already have this straw.
I don't know, dude.
Yeah, but you see where the non sequitur is tasteless in the example that we have.
In the only non sequitur that I perceive is the guy making the claim that the other guy does not follow. That is the only one.
No, well, the idea of it is after you defeat the straw man, you're saying that in defeating the straw man, then the original claim is false. That's the non sequitur.
Yeah. Nope.
What?
Okay, yeah, I'll say it again. The straw man it's the idea that in defeating the misrepresentation successfully, that therefore the original claim is false.
Yes.
That is the non sequitur in the straw man fallacy. So when you look at your example, right, you demonstrated that I wouldn't fuck any man, right, through the straw man. But it does not follow that because you demonstrated that therefore my original claim is false. So it's a non sequitur.
Well, you're missing the last part of it, Tasteless. You're not considering the fact that you're saying that Danny's conclusion is false, or Danny's claim is false.
But the conclusion is true
I know you're confused.
The conclusion is true.
I know you're
confused. Would not fuck any man.
Now, if we take
that
away,
is true.
Yeah, you're right. Tasteless. I'm going to level with you. I think you're right. I know where we're getting the confusion from. If you were to eliminate Danny's original claim, you have a sound argument or a valid argument, right? That Danny says he would fuck any man, and you demonstrate correctly the problem with that. Okay. Now that is a sequitur, but that in and of itself is not a fallacy, right? It's only a fallacy if you say that in providing that sequitur, that therefore the original claim is false, and that's the non sequitur. That is the actual fallacy. That's what we're pointing to when we're saying, oh, that's a straw man. Okay? So you're right that you do demonstrate a sequitur, but that's not by in and of itself a straw man fallacy.
Someone jerking off?
Yeah, I am.
Oh,
Yeah,
I am. Does that make sense, Tasteless?
I am.
Well, no, man. To be honest,
okay.
no.
Okay. Let me try it one more time. So you see, look at what you wrote in there. Okay, Danny's original claim. Imagine that disappeared. Okay, and imagine that you just claimed that Danny says he would fuck any man, and you try to defeat that, and you did. You successfully did. That's a sequitur, right? That was false. That therefore it's false. Okay, but that by itself is not a straw man, right? For it to be a straw man, you have to have not only the original claim and misrepresent it, you have to have a second step, Tasteless. The second step is that in defeating the misrepresentation, that therefore the original claim is false. And that's what a true straw man fallacy
Exactly,
is.
Danny. This is what I was saying from the get-go. You
but that's a non
have to
sequitur.
resort. Listen,
Nah, because that wasn't
you have to
reflected in your first
resort
attempt.
to an outside, another premise, which is this, beat the original claim? No. This defeats the original claim. That's false. That doesn't follow. I agree with that. But that is a separate claim. It is not embedded in the straw man itself. It is embedded in you analyzing and knowing the original claim. Okay?
Right.
Whenever you know the original claim.
But remember what Javon said, knowledge doesn't matter. Whether you're intentionally doing it because you know it or unintentionally because you don't, it's still a fallacy.
Oh, yeah, it is a fallacy. And the guy portraying that knows it is a fallacy. But the people doesn't know that it is a fallacy until they know the original claim. And that is why they get to call that is fallacious, that the conclusion is fallacious. And the reasoning itself was fallacious.
I just don't see how I can put it any more simpler.
Who are the people
I was being charitable in saying that I see where you're getting confused. You're just looking at the defeating.
And I agreed.
Wait.
I agreed, Tommy.
Okay. So,
I agreed with that.
Okay. Well, then there is a sequitur, but that's not the straw man fallacy. Okay. The non sequitur would be after saying that the sequitur, because of the sequitur, that the original claim is false, and that is the fallacy.
But are you telling me, Danny, that once a person accepts the straw man, then it becomes a straw man? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Or am I understanding
that's
you
not
correctly?
what I said. I'm sorry.
Goddamn Tasteless, man. I fucking hope this is if this 2-hour talk is being the goal of that quiz you gave Tom earlier, man. Maybe you should have listened to Gigi's advice.
I mean, I understand that if you assess the information, you would see how, it doesn't follow that Danny says he would fuck any man because it is different from the original claim. And from that point on, it doesn't follow. That's great.
Yeah, that's what a straw man
makes it a fallacy.
That's what you just said. They're brilliant, Tasteless. We got to second base. Okay, listen, that is a non sequitur. That is the straw man fallacy, right? We don't care about the sequitur or the defeat, the in of itself, the defeat of the straw man, right? That in and of itself is not the straw man fallacy. The straw man fallacy is the defeat of the straw man and then saying that it follows that the original claim is false.
Right. It's like I just showed that Danny wouldn't fuck every cute man or every man.
I don't know if that's sunk in.
It's difficult. I mean, someone else might be better at it than I am, but in explaining it. But
no, you're
Tasteless,
great, Danny.
Tasteless. Look, what we call the fallacy is an inference, right?
Yes.
Wait. Let me.
Sure, Jigger. You
There's a step, right? There's a step. There's an inference that we call the fallacy, and I think what you don't understand, right, is which step it is, right? So because you always keep pointing to the argument, to the defeater argument, of the straw manner, right? You're saying that argument is valid, right? And therefore it is a straw man. But that's not the actual straw man, right? That's Danny just said, right? The inference step that we call the straw man fallacy is the conclusion that from your defeater of the
straw man.
Your defeater of the straw man, it follows that the actual argument is also false. That step, right? That inference is the fallacy.
Okay, let me present to you the way I see it. Perhaps I'm wrong, but I'm going to do that. So let's say a guy A presents a soldier, a whole soldier with full arms.
A soldier? I don't know.
Yes, a soldier. He presents a soldier.
Like a soldier? Bang bang?
Yes, a soldier.
Okay.
Now,
what the fuck? Like, so
a
soldier?
Guy B presents a strawman, an actual strawman. Yes, and he says, this is what the other guy has. Let me show you how this is done. And he destroys the strawman. Okay. And he says, this is why he was incorrect. You see what I did? I dismantled the other guy, yes, with my argumentation. Everything followed from people being able to see that this was weak. Okay, that's fine. You were able to do that because it was weak. Now, if you attempted to do the same thing with the original argument, you wouldn't be able to do that. Okay, but you presented something that was different from the original, and then you proceeded with a logical set of conclusions that will dismantle this straw man. That is, tell me if it's not what we are referring or talking about. A guy acting as if the argument was different than it is, then turning apart that argument and showing how that person was wrong, when in fact the argument itself was different. So if I am misunderstanding, please present me with an example of a valid straw man, Daniel, so I can understand. A different one, a valid one, a very clear one that you.
I have one. I have one. Ted says biological evolution is both a theory and a fact. Edwin says that is ridiculous. How can you possibly be absolutely certain that we evolved from pond scum? Attacks the claim that we evolved from pond scum. Therefore, the initial claim of biology being a fact is wrong.
No.
Straw man. That is I'm reading it straight out of a book.
Dude. So basically, listen. In order for it to be,
you guys should have let him attack it before you told him that he was reading too.
Let me understand this, because in your example, the guy attacking the claim, he uses the other guy's original true claim to demonstrate that he defeated that original claim. Is that what you're saying? Is that what a person is supposed to do?
He restates the claim in a different manner that he can attack and disprove. Therefore, the initial claim is wrong.
So you would think that a person who's straw manning, he's going to repeat the original claim for people to see that
he didn't repeat the original.
He didn't repeat it.
Yes, he did. Yes,
he distorted the claim.
No. He said that he claimed that he defeated the original claim.
Well, can you read it for him again?
Yes, read it.
Just read it again.
The second one.
No, read the first one. Read the first one, jackass, so he doesn't think he won that.
Ted. Man A says biological evolution is both a theory and a fact. Man B says this is ridiculous. How can you possibly be absolutely certain that we evolved from pond scum? Then the man attacks the claim that we evolved from pond scum and therefore disproves the initial claim of Ted saying biological evolution is both a theory and a fact.
So where did he repeat the claim, Tasteless?
He repeated the claim at the end. He said
no, he didn't. He said you're wrong.
The original claim.
He's saying, look, I just defeated you. By him saying that, he's saying he defeated the original claim.
Okay, Jovan, we know what happened because the book is telling us that what happened.
He didn't say it. He didn't repeat the claim at the end, dum-dum.
No, listen. He's not saying that the guy said it. But he's letting you know that the guy is portrayed to have defeated the first initial argument, which was a misrepresentation. Yes, but the guy defeated the argument that he was presenting.
Listen, he claimed something, and the second guy restated it as something that he could defeat, and then went on to defeat it, and then said, "Look, you were wrong."
Great. So let's be honest. In this case, all you're doing is in the same manner. You are restating the original claim. That's when you know. Listen.
It's like I'm fucking.
Tasteless, what are the claims? What are the claims?
It hasn't passed the turn test.
Should I state another one? There's two.
How about this? How about this, guys? Is this?
Do you think that Tasteless could pass the Turing test?
What about this?
Danny's not following is the misrepresentation, and that's it. Whenever the guy is saying you're saying this, and it is not the case, that's what the straw man is committed. It is not on the result. It is on the misrepresentation or on the claim that he's stating something that it is not being said.
Yeah, that's really funny.
It's gone from bad to worse here. It's gotten really bad. How about this, guys? Here's my example. I just made this. I'm not 100% sure if it works, but Danny's claim is I'm not that picky about which guys I fuck. Then Tasteless says Danny will fuck anything. And then Tasteless says, I addressed that Danny's claim is false because I showed that he will fuck anything.
Yeah, that's good.
Wait, can you repeat that?
All right, Danny makes a claim. I'm not that picky about which guys I fuck. Tasteless says Danny will fuck anything. And then Tasteless says, I addressed that Danny's claim is false because I showed he will fuck anything. Because he will fuck anything.
Possibly.
No, I don't follow that one.
Yeah.
No, you would want to say Danny
I
would
think that
not.
works. That works, right?
Well, he would try to address. He would try to show that that he wouldn't fuck him, not that he would.
Okay.
This isn't even a good example. You can't really get a good straw man out of this. It's like opinionated. It's not a factual. It has to do with like a factual argument. I'm almost 100% sure of that. You have to like state an objective claim, not a subjective.
That's irrelevant. Look, Tasteless, I'm going to put it. This is a very simple example. Okay, here's the original claim. Evolution is a scientific theory in fact. And if someone were to reply, let's say creation, it says, that's silly. We didn't evolve from cheetahs. We don't share any relevant DNA from the cat family. You uttered something false. Now,
yes,
the original guy didn't say anything about us evolving from cheetahs, right? And the guys may have successfully defeated the straw man that we evolved from cheetahs by saying we don't have any relevant DNA. So, but then what they're saying afterwards is the true straw man. Where the straw man fallacy happens is when he said you uttered something false. That's to say that in me defeating the straw man, whether he knew he was straw manning or not, that therefore evolution is a scientific theory in fact is false.
Okay, Danny. So you're saying that the straw man happens whenever he said you utter something false? If he doesn't say that,
no, that's where the fallacy. Wait. This is, I think, where the problem is. That's where the fallacy came in, Tasteless. Now, the specific, what we call a straw man, is the entire formulation of it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it doesn't follow that the guy is claiming cheetahs because the other guy didn't say so. Okay.
Yeah,
that's where the non sequitur comes. The non sequitur comes from the guy stating a falsehood from the get-go, and then, of course, the conclusion is going to be erred because he's not restating.
Still doesn't get it.
Restate.
No,
yes, he's not restating.
Non sequitur comes when you say, because I defeated argument B, A is false.
Yeah, that's the non sequitur.
Is that what you're telling me, that's when the straw man happens?
Here, yeah.
Okay,
let me,
that's when the fallacy. Stop saying that's when the straw man happens. That's when the fallacy happens, Tasteless.
No, the fallacy happens whenever the guy is saying, that's silly, we didn't evolve from cheetahs. That's where the fallacy is committed.
Look.
The fallacy happens when you claim that you. I don't know how to fucking say it simple. Go ahead, G.
Look, I just edited it. Look at it right now. Look at it right now.
When you claim somebody's conclusion is false because they're guilty of a fallacy, that's the fallacy. No, I'm not joking. I'm serious. That's a real thing.
We know. We're talking. I just don't know how you got a fallacy.
The fallacy part of the strawman fallacy is when you refute it, the original claim. It's not the repainting of the claim; it's the refuting part.
So this is why I think that Tasteless. That's why I think we should stop using strawman fallacy and just use fallacy, because he's trying to think that strawman fallacy is like fucking that the strawman comes in where you utter the falsehood, so he's getting mixed up. Just say fallacy.
I told him earlier to stop using the word straw man because he can't learn what it is.
Yeah, just say fallacy.
But Tasteless, do you see the my edit right there? There I put evolution is scientific theory in fact. I put A right now. The replier wants to defeat A, but unknowingly or knowingly, that's irrelevant. He presents B, defeats B, and then said that in virtue of him defeating B, A is.
I would agree.
False.
That is a non sequitur, and I would agree that is also a straw man. Okay, that it is clearly a non sequitur.
It must be done here.
Yes, Danny, I concur. That itself, all the examples you provided, that seems like a straw man, and it is a non sequitur, of course.
So what makes something a fallacy is it doesn't follow.
No. That's not. No, I mean, it doesn't follow. Yes, if you're referring to reality. Yes, of course.
Yes, of course.
I already told you.
Tasteless, why are you pretending that you know what you're talking about? Why do you keep pretending and keeping up this charade?
What do you mean, Krill?
Yikes.
Just shut up and fucking learn. Shut your fucking mouth and listen for once. Stop trying to proclaim like you have fucking knowledge on the topic when you don't. You're an idiot.
Tasteless. Now,
yes.
when you look at Danny's argument, right? The last step, right, where it says, because I defeated B, therefore A is false, right? That step, that's the fallacy, right?
Of course.
Okay.
What?
So
he just agreed.
No, seriously, yeah, we're done. We're done. This must be done.
No, he's not. He's going to disagree here in a second.
Yeah, he's going to go back.
I understand what you're saying.
Tasteless' original point was
that Danny
listen, we get it. Listen, we understand, man. He doesn't understand is what I'm saying.
I'm confused now.
Yes,
but he's just
on this
disagreed with his
example,
original
it's clear.
point.
We know.
On my example, you say that is not a straw man.
He's done that like 30 times, Wilson.
Okay.
All I want to know is, within my example, what is it then? It is not a straw man, or is it a straw man?
Look, Tasteless, we can call the first part of it. We can call the first part of it a straw man, and the actual non sequitur the fallacy. Would that make you feel better? Does that make sense?
No, I just want to know what it is then.
okay, Tasteless. The straw man, right? The straw man argument. Let's call it the straw man argument because it's an argument. That is okay. I have to read it again.
The straw man fallacy is when you restate the person's claim.
No, we want to we want to
Go fucking Google it if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Fuck.
Look, we want to distinguish.
We don't know this fucking recursory education in here. Everybody go fucking Google it if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And shut up.
I literally have it right here.
How about this? Instead of making these, like, coming up with these, on the fly examples of straw man, Tasteless, let's just go to the real world. This morning you accused me of straw manning you. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And do you want to outline that one for everybody?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Listen, if you restate something that I said,
just tell us the straw man.
Yes. If I say, for instance,
no, just tell me what I said. Just give us the straw man. Don't go through the theory. Just give us the example.
You said that I thought that misrepresentation is a straw man, for you saying that something is different than it really is. And then I said that's a straw man, Tomer. Why? Because you're using that misrepresentation to conclude that I don't know what a straw man is. But my original position is a straw man is a misrepresentation, and due to that misrepresentation, concluding something that it is false. It logically follows, yes, but it is based on a misrepresentation.
That's not what a straw man is.
Listen. So whenever you said that I thought that you stating that I said, I'm going to get up at 8 in the morning, and you stating, he said 10 in the morning. I thought that a straw man was being committed. This is what you told other people. So therefore, since he thinks that that's a straw man, he doesn't know what a straw man is. That is the conclusion you reached based on a misrepresentation. So what I said is, Tomer, that's a straw man. You say, whatever. All I'm saying is, whenever you use a premise that is false, in order for you to reach a conclusion that is also false, you are committing a straw man. That's what I said. That's what I said a straw man was. Now, I might be mistaken or not. I don't know. You guys are going to have to tell me. But whenever you are referring to the things I've said to prove a point or to prove me incorrect about a state that you're making, that I'm not making, that you're making, that to me is a straw man. If I'm incorrect, then tell me. So whenever I said, hey man, I think Kathleen is smart, but I don't mean intelligent. I mean smart. Smart is the blah, blah, blah. And I gave the information. And whenever Tomer restates that and say, look, okay, Kathleen is acting dumb or she's committing fallacies, okay? And he says, you see, Tasteless says that Kathleen is a genius. Of course, he's misrepresenting my position to claim that I'm saying that she is brilliant and she's exhibiting dumb behavior. Therefore, I'm an idiot.
No, it would be something like Tasteless says Kathleen is smart. So Tomer says, Oh, so therefore Tasteless thinks that Kathleen cannot be wrong. Attacks the claim that Tasteless thinks that Kathleen cannot be wrong. Therefore, Tasteless doesn't think Kathleen is smart.
So you're saying basically that
he distorts the initial claim and then attacks the distorted claim, disproving the initial claim.
Yes, he's attacking the claim he's making by saying, I am saying he's a genius. Whenever she's exhibiting retarded behavior, and everyone can see that, then it must be that I am wrong. He defeated, my supposedly claim that she was a fucking genius by presenting her retarded behavior. But this is not what I said.
No, he would have to distort your claim that she is smart.
No, he is distorting that claim, claiming that I said she was a genius.
He has to distort the initial claim, Tasteless.
That is the distortion. I didn't say she was a genius. I said she was smart, and
if he distorts it by saying that
she is a genius, I mean, I guess that would be a straw man. That's pretty weak.
Did you say that Tasteless said she's a genius?
There's synonyms, I guess.
No, I never said that.
You never.
I think he's just using it as
fucker. Okay.
I thought for sure he said smart last time I heard him.
Did you? No. He said intelligent. Yes or no? Did you say intelligence? Yes or no? At some point, because you have done this many times. Did you say intelligent? Yes or no? The initial claim was genius, but then he went back to intelligent. And I never claimed, I specifically clarified to Tomer that smartness and intelligence.
Look, we're never going to be able to settle that. So I don't
misrepresented me in order for you to prove me incorrect about a stance that I don't hold. Okay?
Can you just drop it? We understand that you understand what a straw man is, okay?
No,
that's cool. That's
just assume that he understands what a straw man is.
Yeah, that's definitely not settled.
Well, what is it then? If it's not a straw man, that what he's doing, then what is it?
It's just a misrepresentation.
You're reaching a conclusion based on your misrepresentation.
Yeah. A straw man is just misrepresenting someone's argument. So you take their argument and you kind of switch it around to make it.
You distort the argument.
So,
you attack
usually, the usual intention is so it's easier to attack, kind of thing.
You are concluding something based on that misrepresentation, Tomer. That's what the fallacy you're committing. You're saying that I'm saying
the opposite is like the opposite would be a stillman, where you try to represent it as best as you can to have like a fair.
You just joined.
You're just saying that all claims have a built-in conclusion, which just means that everything that is not factually correct is a straw man, basically.
You don't just say, hey, this guy said this and misrepresent me. Sometimes you do, but some other times you use that to reach a conclusion. And the conclusion is, he said she was a genius. She is acting retarded. Then therefore, Tasteless' opinion was wrong, or he was wrong if he's retarded. This is your conclusions, that the conclusions you're drawing from a misrepresentation of an argument.
Like sure, that would be a straw man. If you said, like, Kathleen is above average intelligence, and then I said, Kathleen took an IQ test, and
that didn't happen.
This is just a hypothetical. And then
yes.
And then I said Kathleen took an IQ test, and she didn't hit genius level, so therefore, Tasteless lied, or that Tasteless's claim is false. That would be a straw man.
You are constantly doing this, Tomer. It is simple as that. All I said was Kathleen is smart. Hey, and what is smart? Smart is be able to solve problems with little to no information. You can do and why do you think that? Because of her life, because of what she do, because of the way I've seen, her understanding the room and whatnot. That's my conclusion. You took me saying she was smart as meaning intelligence, even if when you already knew that I wasn't making that claim, and you said he thinks that Kathleen is intelligent. First you said genius, then I said no, that's wrong. He said he's intelligent. So therefore,
what's your intention?
She is exhibiting retarded behavior, so he is wrong. He's basically committing straw mans all the time, and this is the initial claim that from all
you're committing a straw man by distorting Tomer's claim and trying to re-represent it in this way and refute his claim. That's what you're doing right now, Tasteless. So she should stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Tasteless, I have a question. If you said that, I think Tom I hate Tom, right? You say that, and I said, oh, you want to kill Tom, right? Is that a straw man?
No, that is a misrepresentation.
Good. Okay. So, but if I said that, if you said I hate Tom, and then I made some sort of claim to invalidate what your original claim that you hated him, that would be a straw man, right? So I think there's a lot. I think that's the confusion here.
Well,
prior
that might
to
not
today.
be a straw man. It might be true.
I mean, whether it's true or not, whether it's actually true.
Like there's no recharacterization there.
No, but I didn't give a recharacter. I said if I said in the case that you misrepresented the original claim and then said that the original claim was wrong, that would be the straw man. I think that's Tasteless gets some conflated.
I
But
think when you
we're all good now.
initially said that, Danny, you didn't say misrepresent. I think that's why Wilson's fucked up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You corrected
Okay,
yourself.
but I think we're good now, right, Tasteless? I think we're all understanding. In fact, if anything, just so you know.
No, let me ask him this question if he thinks we're all understanding. Tasteless. So is a fallacy a non sequitur?
Well, it is a non sequitur, yes, in virtue that doesn't hold to reality,
So fallacy is a non sequitur.
Yes, yes.
Didn't he just fucking disagree with this?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's fine. I'll take that. We'll
what you're
take that.
saying.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
This is why we're done. We should be done.
Now here's just the last step. Is a straw man a non sequitur?
This is what I just agree with Job on, dude.
Oh, so you're saying yeah?
Yeah.
But can you also see that the straw man is an informal fallacy because it follows in its.
But hold on a second. Straw man is a non sequitur?
You just said yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
That's it.
This is such a happy moment. Oh my god.
He's saying it as if. The funny thing is, he's saying it as if it's just obvious. Like, yeah.
I just told you this, Jobon. You asked me that question. I said yes.
I know, but we're just so shocked because you've been denying it for the longest time.
I'm so proud of you, Tasteless.
Talking shit.
Dude.
Look, he just said. Wait, Tasteless. Have you been denying this or no?
Yes.
So you have been denying it all day and
Yes.
yesterday.
Yes,
Okay, we're good then. We're good. Okay.
This is like a beautiful moment. I mean, it was horrible, but I mean, like, I'm Tasteless. This is the most honest I've ever seen you. Like, I think, I'm so happy for you, Tasteless.
So there are no fallacies that are not non sequitur.
No, let's just Jovan quit while we're ahead.
I just want to get it all laid out.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I would have to revise
to be fair
that.
to him,
You're asking
we
me
just proved
to
that
talk
a straw
about
man
things
is.
that
That's
I'm
fine.
not
That's
familiar
fine if he's like saying I don't really know because there might be.
Well, we could just go for extra credit here. Tasteless. So I was right.
Well, no, because
about what? About what?
Wait, we already got a bad contradiction. Tasteless, you already said that fallacies are non sequiturs. So when I said, "Is there a fallacy that isn't a non sequitur?" you said, "I don't know."
Oh, we're regressing.
What?
That's a fallacy of composition.
Look, Tomer, I still don't know if all fallacies are non sequiturs. Okay, I still don't know.
That's
now.
But then
what you were right about. You weren't right about me not knowing what a strawman is. You are. I was proud.
Tasteless. Can I tell you something?
No, listen. If and I conceded to this long ago. If all we're saying is that the claim being made doesn't follow the original claim, that's a non sequitur. That's fine. That's great. But as I was saying, the only way for us to know is if we know the original claim. Okay, and this stands. It doesn't matter what you say. This stands. It is a non sequitur. Yeah, perhaps it is a non sequitur in virtue of that. If we know the full information, of course. Yes, then it would be a non sequitur easily identified because you say, well, this guy is presenting a stance that it is not truthful. It doesn't hold the attributes, the initial attributes and properties. Therefore, it is fallacious. However, it is a non sequitur based on the fact that his premises doesn't follow from the original claim. Of course.
But Tasteless, none of the three parties could know that it's a strawman fallacy and it'd still be a strawman fallacy.
Well, of course it would be, but people would identify it just when they...
Right, but it doesn't matter what they identify it as.
Tasteless, do you
kiss
girls?
Is important. It is important. But yeah, it would be a strawman the minute the guy is not following the original claim, of course.
Tasteless, do you kiss girls?
No. I kiss one girl.
That's false, Tasteless.
I kiss one girl.
Oh, so
Why?
you're saying that you're gay?
No.
Yes.
That is a
That's a
misrepresentation. No, that is a
That's not a
misrepresentation.
strong man either, Jesus.
Alright, this was great.